Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The Orioles looking for a sweep today. Baltimore has won 7 straight series, including this one. It's game number 3 between the Orioles and the St. Louis Cardinals. The story of this series has been the offense of the Baltimore Orioles. They banged out 10 home runs combined in the first 2 games. That's recording on Dan McLaughlin. So trying to stop them today, right-hander Lance Lynn.
It's not going to be easy, tough chore for Lance Lynn, but he's been very good since the 1st of July. The ERA has been terrific. Not a lot of wins for Lance Lynn because uncharacteristically, he hasn't gotten run support. This team really can hit, Dan. We've seen it already in this series, 147 home runs this year.
It'll be Lance Lynn, the big righty who's pitched quite well for St. Louis as of late. Kevin Gausman, he'll go for Baltimore. Day baseball next. Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the perfect beer for whatever happens. Come in and visit Mid-American Chevy dealers and make your move to Chevrolet today. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. 87 degrees, our game time temperature here in Baltimore, as the Orioles are looking for a sweep. And on deck today during our telecast, the designated hitter leading off. You'll see that with Matt Carpenter. The buck stops here. That's Buck Showalter. An update on Yadier Molina. And a look back at the 1983 World Series. The St. Louis lineup averaging just 3 runs in interleague play so far this season. Matt Carpenter will lead things off, followed by Colton Wong, and then Matt Holliday. You see Carpenter is being used as a designated hitter. Matt Adams will bat cleanup. Then Johnny Peralta, pair of doubles yesterday. John Jay homered for the first time since April 14th. And last 3 games, 3 for 8. That was in game 2, that home run. Oscar Taveras is hitless in his last 10. Tony Cruz, 11 RBIs this season. All have been on the road. And then batting ninth after a 3-hit afternoon in game 2. It's Daniel Descalso. A right-hander, Rick, going today for Baltimore.
Kevin Gausman is a star of the future for the Orioles. He's a flamethrower. He gets it up to about 96 miles per hour on average. The ERA at 3.77. Jimenez came off the DL to beat the Cardinals yesterday, and there was talk that he may be one of the guys sent out, but he's pitched so well as a rookie that Buck Showalter wanted him to stay in this rotation. They believe he's a #1 starter waiting to happen.
A look at the defense, a good one here with the Orioles. Delman Young is in left, Adam Jones in center, Nick Markakis is in right. Manny Machado at third, Ryan Flaherty at short, Jonathan Scope at second, Chris Davis at first, and Caleb Joseph, who's had home runs in 5 consecutive games behind the plate. Ryan Flaherty, a late insertion into the lineup along with Jonathan Scope because of J.J. Hardy, who is out of this game with a sprained left thumb. So initially in the lineup, then taken out by Buck Showalter, and a strike to the designated hitter Matt Carpenter, who has a team-high 19 hits since the All-Star break, and he leads the club with 122 this year.
Very different pitcher than the Cardinals saw yesterday. Of course, the story of the series has been the Cardinals not being able to stop the Orioles' attack. But Jimenez only thrown about 90 miles an hour yesterday and thrown a split and a little curveball. Cardinals were off balance, but they're going to have to gear it up to catch up to the fastball of Gausman.
Taken low, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Cardinals start play 3 games back of Milwaukee. They're a half game back of Pittsburgh. Milwaukee, the only Central team to win on Saturday, so their lead is opened up by 2.5 games. The Brewers get Clayton Kershaw today. Jimmy Nelson, big tall right-hander, going for the Brewers. Johnny Cueto and the Reds already with a 2-1 lead on Miami, and that's early on. San Diego and Pittsburgh coming up a little later. Charlie Morton makes that start against Tyson Ross. From 0-2 to 3-2. We see that a lot with Matt Carpenter. The shift is on here for Matt, which we have not seen all that often against the Cardinal leadoff man this year.
Pretty severe shift, too. They have got 3 not only on the right side of the infield, but the middle fielder way to the right of the second base bag. So they're giving him all kinds of space the other way.
And we know he can hit it that way.
Sure can. Now the outfield's playing him to hit it to left.
And he puts it into right. Leadoff base hit for Carpenter.
I know hit it where they ain't is not grammatically correct. An old baseball saying, but the better hitters can do that. Wee Willie Keeler, I believe, said that many, many, many years ago, and Matt Carpenter does it. To lead this game off, there's a good start.
First time that Rick Horton has ever
said ain't.
I only said it in quotes, though.
Oh, okay. I will not attribute that to you. Here's Kolten Wong. One hit in this series. He's 1 for 9. After the 2 home run night against the Boston Red Sox in Game 3 of that series. If you're Mike Matheny, you're struggling to get runs. It's the first inning. You have Lance Lynn, who's pitched very well the last 2 months. Do you think about dropping down a bunt?
I think that's what he's been trying to figure out as a second place hitter is how do I move the runner over? What is my job in this role? You know, he's shown the flash of power. We talked about that. He's a gap hitter. Some days he's the Cardinals' best hitter at the plate, so you don't want to give up outs either. He's tried to bunt for hits a few times, which I think is a good kind of middle ground. But I think there are days where he's stuck in between.
Here's a 2-0 pitch to Kolten Wong. Fouled back for strike 1.
Willie Keeler said many years ago, keep your eye clear and hit them where they aim.
It was a 6-pitch at bat by Matt Carpenter, and I think that's something that gets overlooked, just how many pitches he sees. Remember, Keeler played for the Orioles the late 1800s. 2-2.
Good off-speed pitch from Gausman. We mentioned the 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He throws it about 70% of the time. His next best pitch, a split. You saw it there. Comes in at about 84, so a big difference in miles per hour. Acts as a changeup with downward movement.
On 2-2, Wong looks at a ball. So again, it goes to 3-2 on the first 2 hitters in this lineup for St. Louis.
The Orioles, by the way, have been hitting them where they ain't in this series, which means into the bleachers.
They've been hitting them to the fans.
Yes, they have.
Often. Ground ball and a base hit. Interesting play because Carpenter acted like he was going to steal, and maybe he was, but didn't have a big lead. The jump wasn't very good, but in doing so, Flaherty, the shortstop, saw that and moved to the bag at second, and it opens up a hole.
And he gives up too much of the shortstop hole too early on that. I mean, he did not need to get that far to the bag that quickly. He wasn't far from it to begin with, and he would have had time to cover the base had Kolten Wong struck out. So I think that's a mistake by Flaherty. He's not normally a shortstop, and I think he's got to keep his ground a bit longer. But a nice job of hitting the ball the other way by Kolten Wong.
One of the top men in baseball with runners in scoring position at the plate, and that's Matt Holliday. 2 for 7 in this series. His interleague career, he's hit .303. And since the break, he's picked up the power numbers with 6 home runs to lead the Cardinals. Holliday 5th in the National League with runners in scoring position at .333.
An opportunity here, an opportunity to get something positive going in Game 3 of this series. Again, we've mentioned the Orioles offense. Dan, I'm not sure if we've mentioned it during our telecast, but the Orioles only scored 3 runs total in their final 2 games against Toronto. I find that hard to believe.
Me too. Orioles have gotten off to this terrific start. As I mentioned in the open, they've won a season-high 7 series, and their 6-game lead now in the American League East, the largest they've had this late in the season since 1997. Holliday up the middle. That's a base hit. The bases will be loaded for Matt Adams as Carpenter, again, you talk about base running. Well, this time he had to wait to make sure it got through.
Well, I'm not sure if he had to wait, but he did wait. That ball was right up the middle. I think maybe a product of where is everybody behind me on the shift. You're not always quite sure where the defenders are. Yes, you check them occasionally, but that ball was right over the second base bag. And really, Carpenter could have gotten a better jump on that. And guess he was safe, which you can't blame him for, but probably should have scored a run there.
This is a critical inning, to say the least, with the way that things have been going for St. Louis. The fact is they're not scoring runs. They've been pounded in the first 2 games of this series. At least 2 runs have to score here in the first inning. Bases loaded, your cleanup man up, and Matt Adams is hitting .309. 12 home runs. He's driven in 49.
And not to belabor it, Dan, but Matt being hesitant on the break from first kept him from going maybe first to third on the long hit, and it kept him from scoring there from second. And what it makes you think of is the Cardinal offense this year often getting 3 hits and having the bases loaded without scoring a run.
It's a great point. Station to station many times. Adams, a broken bat past Gossman, and they'll get the runner at second base. And Carpenter scores to make it 1-0. That could have been a 1-2-3 double play. Very close.
And also could have double play if Matt Holliday, hadn't have stopped. He did the right thing on the base running. Let's check out the jam shot. The bat goes by. Can't get the baseball. Maybe actually looking at the bat, but Holliday stops smartly, so they can't tag him and throw on to first. So he's forced to flip to second. No chance to get a double play.
RBI number 50 for the Cardinals first baseman, and here's Johnny Peralta. Mentioned the 2 doubles that he had yesterday. He now has 29 this year, and that's number 10 in the National League. That's it out of play.
And 1 run's not enough in this inning.
Again, I think that you've got to get 2.
Yeah. And I think your point about taking advantage of that and pushing a crooked number on the board has a lot to do with what the Orioles are capable of doing on the other side, too.
Exactly. Outfield is straight away. 0-2 on Johnny Peralta. The Cardinals shortstop leads the club in doubles. The Cardinals as a team with 205 this year, and that's tied for 5th best in baseball. The average slowly but surely beginning to climb for the Cardinals shortstop. Leads the club in home runs with 15.
Veteran players normally seek their level by the time the season ends. If you're a 270, 280, 290 hitter, you're going to get there eventually most of the time. And you'd expect that with Johnny Peralta. I think he's got a good chance of getting to 270, 275 by the time it's over, and we've been impressed by his defense beyond that.
074 hitter in this count. He'd love to change that. Now 1-2. Fans still filing into Camden Yards. Ballpark that opened up back in 1992.
Beautiful ballpark, Dan, and wanted to mention the flag is blowing a little bit more out today than it has been the last 2 days. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to say or not, but it's a fact.
Here's a 1-2.
We've seen the ball carry, especially to left field. Matt Adams was talking before the game about a couple of balls the Cardinals hit to right center that didn't seem to carry quite so well. Not a heavy wind, but certainly more than we had yesterday.
Runners at first and third. 2-2 pitch to Johnny Peralta. Here it comes. Popped up. Right side. The first baseman Davis out of room. That's the kind of at bat that if you win a game and Peralta can drive in a run or two, who knows, maybe three, it's a grinding type at bat. And that seems to be the way the Cardinals, when they win their games, they've really had to grind it. I mean, there's no blowouts when they're on the winning side.
Good way to describe the season in general. Grinding.
The 2-2. Peralta, a little flare into center field. That'll drop. 2-0 St. Louis. The throw is offline from Jones, a three-time Gold Glover. No need to throw that. And a great at bat by Johnny Peralta. Fought off some 0-2 pitches, and he makes it 2-0 St. Louis. And the Cardinals with 4 hits and counting here in the first.
The Orioles have a big arm in right and a big arm in center. And this ball jams Peralta, gets the job done. I just get the sense that when Jones came up, just wanted to show off his arm a little bit. No chance really to get Colton Long. He did stay back, as he should have, to make sure the ball was going to drop and play it safe, but no chance to get Colton.
Mentioned that Adam Jones, when he first was drafted, the thought was by Seattle at the time he would be a pitcher. He wanted to be an everyday player. He was moved to shortstop and now center field. Great athlete, clearly an all-star, and is signed up long-term with Baltimore. Here's John Jay. 1 for 4 with a homer in game 2 yesterday. Still only 1 out. Runners at first and second.
Sure, Dave Wallace trying to remind his pitcher that yes, you've given up 4 hits to 5 batters, but 2 of them jam shots, 1 of them a ground ball the other way. Don't overreact to that. Just kind of go from here. He does. He has good stuff. But maybe a guy with good stuff is just who the Cardinals needed to face. A guy rushing it up there.
What concerns you, it's a pitcher that the Cardinals have not faced on the other side, because at times, you know, it's almost like the Bud Norris syndrome that they had when they first saw Bud Norris with Houston. Hadn't faced him, don't know much about him, and then get shut down.
They were unfamiliar with Tillman in game 1 of this series. A more recent example. They faced a lot of new pitchers lately. De La Rosa, seeing Joe Kelly for the first time, Workman in that Red Sox series.
1-2 the count on Jay. What's clear, though, in this first inning, Rick, is that the right-hander has been getting ahead of the hitters. He did that with Carpenter, Wong, Peralta, and Adams, and Jay, and still has not been able to put them away with 2 strikes.
Finish them off. Getting ahead is step 1.
Again, from 1-2 to a full count, and the pitch count is on the rise at 32 from the right-hander here in the first inning. Peralta the runner at first, Matt Adams the runner at second base. Here's a 3-2. Runners go. And it's ball 4. Good at bat by Jay. A grinding it out type at bat. Bases loaded. Oscar Taveras. This would be the right time to break out of that 0 for 10. That came on the heels of a 7-game hit streak for the Cardinal right fielder.
Tim McCarver pointed it out a couple of games ago that Taveras has been late on a lot of his swings, and that has continued into this series. And already Buck Showalter doesn't like what he sees, and a little action in the Orioles bullpen.
And he speed up the at bat here against the fastball, and he looks at a ball. How about that? McFarland already up here in the first inning. 4 hits, a walk, and a 2-run lead. Bases loaded for Taveras, and the 1-0 pitch.
Taveras, one of those players, talk about a guy seeking his level. His level is not 213. Now, how high can it go? I think that's remains to be seen, but I wouldn't doubt if he gets to 270, 280 or more by the end of the season. And frankly, the Cardinals need him to.
Well, think about it, Rick. If you take what you're talking about into the equation, get to 270, 280, you believed he could be a 290 hitter.
I do.
Then all of a sudden you're thinking he could carry you here the final 6 weeks or so.
And he'd be one of the guys in this Cardinals lineup that you would say you would most want to be a guy that would get red hot the last couple of months. I think he could be a difference maker. Holiday can, he can.
Big pitch here on 2-1. And Taveras hits it out to shallow center. The catch is made. Here comes Adams. Here comes a throw, and it's a double play. The strong throw by Adam Jones to Caleb Joseph. Jones with the throw on the fly and a strike. Cardinals pick up 2 after a half inning. The bottom of the first at Camden Yards. The Orioles in the first 2 games of this series, the lineup has produced 22 runs and 9 homers. Markakis, Machado, and Jones, then Cruz, who hit his 30th yesterday. Davis, Young, Joseph, Flaherty, and Scope. They'll face right-hander Lance Lynn. And Lynn, Rick, is our Kia starter.
0-2 in his last 3 starts, but they've all been good ones. ERA under 3 during that time. Very low run support for Lance Lynn in his last 3 outings, but he has been very, very good in the second half. And one of the things you like about Lance Lynn is he is one of the best in baseball at keeping the ball in the ballpark. And from what we've seen the last couple of days, that could be a nice skill to have.
He's allowed just 7 home runs this year. As Markakis looks at ball 2, and only 2 pitchers have given up fewer than Lance Lynn this year. Adam Wainwright, his teammate, number 1. Number 2 on that list, Clayton Kershaw, who's pitching today against Milwaukee. Wainwright will be pitching in the upcoming Miami series beginning tomorrow night. He's scheduled for game 2 against Jared Kozart. 2 balls and 1 strike. Markakis, a .338 interleague average. That's 4th best all time since interleague play opened up back in 1997. In on his hands, and it's 2-2. We'll be on the air tomorrow at 5:30 St. Louis time. It's Shelby Miller and Tom Kohler. Shelby's now 8-8. Kohler 7-9. Ground ball slowly hit. Tough chance here. High throw. That's Descalso, the third baseman. No error on the play. Markakis is aboard with an infield hit. So Descalso is at third with Carpenter serving as the DH. Let's go around the horn. Peralta at short. Wong is at second. Matt Adams at first, and Tony Cruz the start behind home plate. Holiday, Jay, and Taveras in the outfield. Do or die play here for a finalist of the Gold Glove in 2011 at third, Daniel Descalso.
A little hard time on the transfer, but it didn't really matter. He had no chance really to throw him out. Just thankful that that ball bounced off the facade by the Orioles dugout and didn't go into the stands for an error.
Here's Manny Machado. Machado hitting .275, 12 home runs, and he's driven in 32. You may recall he was suspended earlier this season. 5 games, which he threw his bat. Fernando Abad, the pitcher at the time. Machado thought he was going after his knee, surgically repaired knee, and he was unhappy.
A lot of things that happened before that. It started with Josh Donaldson tagging out Machado on a base running mistake. He tried to run on a ball hit to the left side of the infield, and he was out by 10 feet. And Donaldson went to tag him, and Machado tried to move out of the way, and Donaldson reached for him. And Machado was a little embarrassed by his mistake and felt that Donaldson tagged him too hard. So that's how it started.
That finds a hole into left field. So an infield hit and a seeing eye single. The first two have reached. We turn to our Toyota keys to the game.
Well, the first key is kind of showing itself already, and that's run support for Lance Lynn. A year ago, he was very good in that department. The Cardinals hit for him a lot. He was a big winner. And already the Cardinals with 2 runs here this afternoon, and also shut off the power. You mentioned how good he is in terms of Wainwright, Kershaw, then Lance Lynn in terms of keeping the ball in the ballpark. But this Orioles team has hit 9 home runs already in this series, so that's going to be an interesting battle.
Adam Jones with 22 home runs. He's driven in 70. Had that great throw from center field to get Adams. Made it on the fly, and I think we both felt you pushed the envelope here in the first inning.
I'm okay with him going. Absolutely. That was a tremendous throw from center, and you make him do it. Wanted to finish the thought on Machado. Buck Showalter asked Machado to personally apologize to every one of his teammates for what he had done, which I thought was a nice move.
Jones pops it foul, as well as to the opposing team. Some phone calls had to be made.
He got suspended. He had to deal with that. I think what upset the A's more than anything is after the little conversation with Donaldson in that game, he had a swing where he hit the catcher, the opposing catcher, in the helmet and didn't apologize. And I think that really bothered the A's, and kind of tempers were flaring, and it could have been a bad scene. It wasn't, but it could have been.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Jones. Again, another ground ball slowly hit. Out at second, and no play for Wong to turn the double play. Runners at the corners now for Nelson Cruz. Well, Lance Lynn has made some good pitches, but yet he looks up and it's first and third, and the cleanup man having a chance to do some damage.
And you have a stress moment here. Yeah, that's the way baseball is, but you could say the same thing for Kevin Gausman in the first inning. He had a couple of jam shots that didn't work out for him, and again, that's baseball.
With that 30th home run by Cruz yesterday, he reaches that mark for the second time in his career. Back in 2009, while with Texas, he hit 33. With plenty of time to go in the season, you would think he'd have his single season record. Boy, they've got some thump in this lineup. From Machado to Jones. Here's Cruz. You have Davis, who was the home run king of the American League, on deck a year ago. And then Delman Young. After that, Caleb Joseph, who's had home runs in 5 straight.
And originally, before Hardy came out, Caleb Joseph was going to be in that 9th spot. And just think about that. You've hit a home run in 5 straight games, come to the park, and you're batting 9th. You must have a good team.
I'd say. One hops off the wall. 1 run is in, and here comes Jones. He'll stop and back to the bag at 3rd. So Nelson Cruz drives in a runner, his 80th RBI. And for all intents and purposes, Jones probably should score on that play, in my opinion.
Well, he should be out at 3rd regardless. After he was held, the Cardinals did not communicate very well. They had a chance to pick him off the bag. Holiday gets to the ball in a hurry in left field, and on the relay, it goes to Johnny Peralta, and Jones is out. All they got to do is make a throw to Daniel Descalzo. Nobody's telling Daniel to cover the bag. Right at this point, if a throw comes into Daniel, he's out.
And here we go again. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, and it brings in Chris Davis. 20 home runs. He's driven in 55. You can strike him out. It's a 195 hitter. That's the one thing. With his great power has come a ton of strikeouts. Leads their club in strikeouts and on pace to get around 180 to 200 this year. Nothing in 2.
And Dan, here's what I'm talking about with Descalzo. If there's more communication and Daniel's told to cover the bag, what he does instead is duck. Instead of covering the bag, asking for the ball, he's out of the way, and the throw comes home. If somebody's yelling 3-3-3, Daniel covers the base, doesn't duck, and Jones is out.
Big strikeout of Davis. He chased a pitch up, and Lynn carves him up for out number 2.
This shows you what power does for an offense too, Dan. The Cardinals in the top of this inning, 4 hits and a walk and get 2 runs. But the Orioles, with their power, they just get right back in it, and power means doubles as well as home run.
Delman Young hitting .321, 5 home runs. He's driven in 19. Runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 1st. Fastball and a strike. Lynn is throwing his fastball 78% of the time. Baltimore hits the fastball 4th best in the major league. Their average is .285 against a fastball. Oh, 2. If Tony Cruz behind the plate today, those two, as we've talked about in the past, teammates coming up through the minor league system. Earlier this year, Cruz saw most of the starts from Lynn, and tomorrow with Miller, he's really gotten a connection with A.J. Brzezinski, those two.
And there's something to be said for that. You're right, that started early this season with Tony Cruz and Lance Lynn. Not every one of them perfect, but certainly seemed to have a good flow. Tony Cruz did not like the location of that 0-2 delivery to Young, and he's out there talking with Lance. That did have more velocity. I noticed the first couple of batters, Lance's velocity was at 91. A little low for him, but he's picked it up to 95 now.
The game scoring 10 or more runs this season. It's happened in April, and it's happened the last 2 games. That's it.
Very surprised to see that. How about you?
Yeah, especially home games, but they didn't play well at home early on. They have since basically about the beginning of June.
13 of their last 17 at home they've won.
You would think you're going to walk into some home runs with this lineup combined with this ballpark. John Lackey talking yesterday about how the ball jumps out of here. Nothing surprising for him, having pitched so many times at this gorgeous park here in Baltimore. The 1-2. The Orioles have not had great interleague success, but that's changed this year. 9-4, and yet they have faced the best interleague opponents of any team in the major leagues. The winning percentage of the teams they faced is .542, and yet they have one of the best interleague records, which tells you they may be one of the best teams. Two and two the count. Outfield is straight away. The 2-2. Got him, a strikeout. Back-to-back Ks of Davis and Young to minimize the damage. After an inning, 2-1 St. Louis. Lead as we move to the second inning. Pat Paris is also with us. Did a great job on our pregame. And Pat, you've recovered, I assume, from the food, yes?
Yeah, and probably round two coming up here in just a minute.
Excellent. Would you have a hot dog with macaroni and crab on it or something?
That's it. That's exactly it. Enough said.
Can you get me one, Pat? I'd like one.
I'll bring two up to the booth, and I'll take one myself.
Nice.
Excellent. How about Matt Carpenter in the DH spot?
Yeah, we saw him lead off the game with a single, and then he scored a run. And so for Matt Carpenter, it becomes just the 7th time in Cardinal history that the leadoff hitter has served as the DH. It happened 3 times for Willie McGee in '98, 1 time for Brian Hunter also that year, and then twice for Sean Dunston in '99. So we haven't seen it since '99. Little history today. It's very unusual, obviously.
How about Yadier Molina? We've been talking a lot about Brzezinski and Cruz, and they've done fine, but they're no Yadier Molina. Where's he at?
Well, 4 weeks ago was when he had the thumb injury, tore the ligament, and then had surgery. He just got out of the hard cast in the last couple of days. He's got a splint on it now. Remember, the timetable was at the 5-week mark he would start to do some serious rehab work, and hopefully by the 8-week mark he would be back. So we're basically halfway through that. Next week he'll begin the real hard rehab process.
All right, Pat, good job as always. Here's Tony Cruz, who's filling in for Molina. And right when Cruz came off the field, Mike Matheny was there to greet him in the dugout. I'm sure they're talking about pitch selection and handling Lynn.
Yeah, he had a lot to say to Tony, and that's the really the most important position on the field every day, other than the starting pitcher, is the catcher. You've got to very important job to do, to handle the pitcher and to help him be as effective as possible. And, you know, you can't throw the pitch for him, but you want to think along with him and make sure that they're attacking the hitters properly. And I think Mike Matheny saw some things he wanted to make sure Tony heard, and we'll see if that helps going forward.
Here's a 1-1. And pop foul by Cruz.
But a good job by Lance and Tony Cruz to get the job done, to get the 2 strikeouts with runners aboard and continue to have the Cardinals ahead.
Already key play in this game. Cruz was on deck, and a fly ball by Taveras. It turns into a double play, and Jose Oquendo pushing the envelope in the first, and Cruz then left standing.
I still think it's the right move. He's left standing, but you've got a guy at the plate who's going to hit 250, and you've got a chance to score on a fly ball to center. Do you think you have a 25% chance of scoring? Then you try it.
Part of the equation, I think, on the flip side, too, and I'm with you. I think you push it, but we've seen Jones with a very strong arm, 3-time Gold Glover, had to make a good throw, and he did. It was right on the money. A check swing and the first strikeout. Here's Descalso, a 3-hit day yesterday, so back-to-back starts for Daniel.
I think if you second-guess that throw from center field, you minimize the reality of how good a throw that was by Adam Jones. It was a strike in the air to home plate.
0-2. Check swing, and he went, says Laz Diaz. Back-to-back Ks with a check swing. Time now for you to tweet your photo using the hashtag STLFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. Again, brought to you by AT&T. Here's Carpenter. Matt started with a base hit to right. I mentioned earlier how he sees so many pitches. Well, he leads the National League in that category. Better than 4 pitches per at bat. A lot of walks, the runs scored, high on base percentage. And again, we were talking about Wong potentially batting leadoff and looking at that combination of the lineup. But Carpenter does what you would hope every leadoff man would do. Now, he's not a prototypical leadoff man because of his speed, but he gets on base.
Colton Wong was not a guy that walked a lot in the minor leagues, and Matt Carpenter is a guy that walks a lot at this level, and that's why Mike Matheny is hesitant to take him out of that spot. He believes he's doing everything that you want a leadoff hitter to do. The pitch counts you're talking about, the on-base percentage of 380 for most of the season. I mean, that's his job.
The 2-1.
Now, you'd like him to be able to steal 100 bases, too. You throw that in there, now you've got exactly what you want, and that's not his game.
Cardinals have talked about, and now with a 3-1 count, a shift is put on for Matt Carpenter, but they get worried about him working too hard, wearing himself out. And this is a way to buy yourself a little time when you think of him as a DH and not having to go out into the field.
Well, it's a perfect time for a National League manager to get some rest for one of his players without taking his bat out of the lineup. And that's what we're seeing today.
And yesterday in game 2 was Peralta. They set up inside, and Carpenter grounds it to first. Davis is there. A finalist for the Gold Glove last year. Puts it away. A 1-2-3 inning for Kevin Gossman. A check swing. Tony Cruz didn't like that call. Rung up by Mark Carlson, the first base umpire. Then it was Descalso on a check swing. and drink for just 50 cents the next day at On the Run. So don't just root for the Cardinals and their wins, root for 6 runs all season long. Cardinals also have a great promotion for the Red Series coming up. That's the 18th, 19th, and 20th at Busch Stadium. There are $6 tickets. $6 tickets for the Red Series coming up at Cardinals.com/6. At last check, those were nearly sold out. Here's Caleb Joseph, who's hitting .227. He has 8 home runs, with 5 coming in 5 straight games. 5th rookie to homer in 5 straight. He's trying to make it 6. If he does, he joins Reggie Jackson and Chris Davis. Jackson in 76. Davis did it in 2012 for the Baltimore Orioles team record.
The record for catchers is 1 more, and that was Mort Cooper, who played with the Cardinals first. He did it when he was playing with the Giants. And it's amazing that Joseph was in Double-A a year ago, thinking about getting another job, ready to quit the game, ready to update his resume. And here he is in the big leagues on a winning team.
Maybe a championship team, as Matt Wieters has been lost for the season, and Joseph is here. They've also picked up Nick Hundley. And if you believe in defensive runs saved, the sabermetric look at defense, one of the categories, he's one of the top catchers in the game in that regard, as he flips the bat and has words with the home plate umpire, Gabe Morales. So 3 strikeouts in a row for Lynn.
Well, if you're going to flip the bat on a call you don't like that actually could have been called a strike, if you're going to flip the bat, you issue an immediate apology, which we believe that's what Joseph did.
Ryan Flaherty, .209 hitter, playing shortstop today. Strike 1. Well, there's nothing fancy about Lance Lynn. I mean, it's get it, go, and it's hardball.
I'm not sure fancy would be the right word, but the tricky thing about Lynn that we've noticed over the years is the fact that he has 2 very distinct fastballs that he throws. Yes, he throws them a lot, but he has a runner and a 4-seamer that goes up in the zone, and he understands what he's doing with the change in elevation of that fastball, and I think hitters have a hard time picking that up until it's too late. That's why he gets all those strikeouts.
You're talking about changing the eye level of a hitter. Nothing in 2.
4-seamers up, running fastballs down.
I think what's been huge for the Cardinals, and a point of emphasis with Lynn this year since he was converted into a starting pitcher, it's been the middle months. You know, you go back to his all-star campaign, great first couple of months, struggled in the middle, almost removed from the rotation. Same thing happened last year. Well, his last 10 starts, as Descalso will give it a look. So this is over the last 2 months. His ERA is 1.63. That's how good he's been.
Only 1 bad start in those 10 starts for Lynn. And that's part of the adjustments we talk about that start with the pitching coach making suggestions and helping you along the way, but you obviously have to be the one to use it and find out now just why have I been doing that? Why have I been faltering in the middle months? Is it a conditioning thing? Is it a workload thing? Is it a preparation thing? Is it, what is it? Something between the ears? And whatever adjustments he's making clearly are leading to positive results.
2-2 the count. Ryan Flaherty. Goodbye. 4 in a row for Lance Lynn.
I think there's another complaint, this time without an apology, from Flaherty. And is this one a strike? Borderline to Caleb Joseph. Borderline again to Ryan Flaherty. Hey, you guys hit 9 home runs the last 2 days. Stop complaining.
That's a good tailing, sinking action that you talk about. There's a look at Buck Showalter, and now it's Jonathan Scope. Lynn in 2011 was dominant coming out of the bullpen. Then to the rotation, he becomes an all-star. And he's close to the league lead in wins. Trying to pick up number 12 today. Johnny Cueto is trying to join Willie Peralta and Adam Wainwright at 14 to lead the National League. And Casey McGee has just homered for Miami to tie it up 2-2. 2 balls and 1 strike. Don't sleep on the Marlins. They're still in the fight for that second wild card. The 2-2 foul back.
Lance is one of those guys that starts to smell the strikeout too. I think that's part of what he does. It's part of what he likes, and he does know how to put hitters away. What we talked about in the first inning with Gausman getting ahead but not being able to finish hitters off, that's something that Lance Lynn has traditionally been good at. High strikeout totals every year in the big leagues.
3-2. It seems like the strike zone has shrunk. The third hitter of this inning for Lynn. He's trying to pick up his 5th strikeout overall. The 3-2 pitch. Popped up. Cruz has a play in foul territory. And a 1-2-3 inning for Lance Lynn, who strikes out 2. Now 4 on the day. We played 2. And the Cardinals up 2-1.
Night at the ballpark. It's August 15th. The Cardinals battle the Padres. Bring your Mizzou themed tickets, and you can get them at cardinals.com/theme. You'll also get a limited edition Cardinals hat. Get your tickets, wear your black and gold, and we'll see you at Mizzou night on August 15th.
Colton Long will lead it off. Then Holiday and Adams. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Pat Paris is with us as well. Long with a single and a run scored. Milwaukee has jumped out to a 1-0 lead after 1. Ryan Braun with an RBI single. Rick, the Brewers have never swept the Dodgers at home. Their only sweep ever against L.A. was at Dodger Stadium, a 4-game series in 2012, but they've never done that at home.
Brewers are a team that I just can't quite figure out. You watch them some days and you think they're unbeatable, and then they go into a tailspin. I think the Atlanta Braves are the same in the National League. Just not sure what you've got. Time will tell.
Dealing with their first major injury to their rotation in Matt Garza. Loesch has not been great his last couple of starts. That includes one against St. Louis. We talked about it yesterday. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals season really could be defined by the next couple of weeks once you get through San Diego, which is next weekend back home, and those great giveaways coming up at the ballpark in the Hall of Fame weekend. But after that, it is the NL Central, with the exception of 3 games against the Phillies. The 2-1. And Rick, as a matter of fact, if you look at the Cardinals schedule, they will play outside the NL Central Division after this weekend against San Diego. Just 9 games remaining. That's it. Arizona, Colorado, and Philadelphia. 2-2 the count. And to center and a base hit for Colton Wong, and he's 2 for 2. As you look at the schedules, what really stands out for you?
Well, I think the Pirates have the toughest schedule, playing Detroit and Washington back-to-back. I think that's going to be tough, although the Pirates just find ways to win, and you add Milwaukee into that. I think they've got the toughest of the 3. And the Brewers playing Toronto. We know how good their lineup is. The Dodgers, that's a pretty tough schedule as well. And the Cardinals, I would say, the easiest of the 3.
Now it's Holiday. Wong leads the club in stolen bases with 17. And this young catcher, Caleb Joseph, has been so good at getting runners out, actually better than Matt Wieters. And Wieters is noted as being a very good all-around catcher. Gregory Polanco is homered for Pittsburgh to make it 2-0 over San Diego. Cardinals still waiting for that impact from Oscar Taveras that Polanco initially gave the Pirates.
He's leveled out some, though. Polanco has, but he's a fun player to watch. Pirates, I understand, playing Alvarez some at first base. They're wondering whether he's willing to do that. So they don't have everything figured out yet there in Pittsburgh, but they certainly have to be reckoned with.
Matt Holliday had a broken bat to center field and a base hit. Back in the first inning, if you're just joining us, the Cardinals had the bases loaded, already a 2-run lead. Taveras at the plate, who hits into an inning-ending double play. McFarland, one of the 4 lefties for the Orioles, was up and throwing in their pen in the first. You wondered if Gausman would get out of that inning.
I think Matt Holliday is a little upset that Gausman got away with that pitch in this inning. The ball up in the zone. Matt had a healthy rip at it, but he was just a tad late, and sometimes you could just tell by the batter's reaction that they feel like they should have done more with that, as maybe the Cardinals should have done more with that first inning.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. After a look, hit out of play again. Say what you will about Matt Holliday, but every day it seems like you can pencil his name in that lineup.
Agreed. And you can pretty much guarantee that he's going to take a healthy cut about 10 times a day, too. He does not get cheated very often. Sometimes he deals with lower back issues, and when you watch him swing, I guess you can understand why.
The 1-2 again. Inside, 2-2. Adams on deck. Celebrating the 60th year of Orioles baseball after their move from St. Louis, the Browns. 1954. The Browns and the St. Louis Cardinals met in the World Series in 1926. And a strikeout of Holiday. I should say 1944. 26 was against the Yankees. That was when the Browns thought they were going to the World Series and expanded Sportsman's Park. The Trolley Series. All St. Louis. Browns won the American League pennant, the only time they did so in St. Louis. The winning share was a grand total of $4,600 for the players. Not bad in 1944. The longest time of game, take a guess.
1944, longest time of game of all 7 games in the series. I'm going to say the longest one was 2:35.
2:32. Longest. Not bad.
I think I just got closest to the pin.
Not bad. Now Matt Adams. Many of those players were ineligible for military service, World War II, so you weren't seeing some of the prime players back in 1944. Two balls and no strikes.
Could be a go pitch here for Matt Adams. Look fastball, look middle in, pick out a zone, maybe 4 inches wide, maybe a square actually. If it's in that area, I'm ripping, looking for it, ready to turn on it.
Runner at first is Colton Wong, and that's pulled foul, and he turned on it right into the Orioles dugout.
He jumped at that pitch in a way that tells me that was in that zone, and he was prepared for it, just didn't quite square it up. But the advantage that a hitter gets when he's ahead in the count, he needs to press.
Outfield is deep. A 2-1 pitch to Adams. Wong has had that look of not even being a threat to steal, and you wonder, because of the hard thrower, very good defensive catcher, if that's just out of the equation.
I think you should give the look even if he doesn't want to go. I think when you've got 17 bags and only been thrown out twice, you're a threat.
Little bigger lead this time.
It is.
2-2, not running, and the pitch is hit out of play. And this is a situation when you get Colton Wong on as your leadoff man, and you've got Holiday, Adams, and Peralta coming up. I'd love to see him push it.
All double play possibilities.
Yeah. The 2-2. Took something off it. Back-to-back Ks and 4 this afternoon for the righty. Next Saturday, Cardinals celebrate their first class of the Cardinals Hall of Fame, the 2014 inductees plaque, and that's courtesy of Edward Jones. San Diego in town. Edmonds, Marion, McGee, and Shannon. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. And again, that's open to the public next Saturday morning. Tickets just $18. That ball scoots through Caleb Joseph. That's one way to get to second.
So that's what he was waiting for.
That should be just an outstanding day at Busch Stadium next week. And again, $18 tickets for the Cardinals Hall of Fame. So you can be a part of it. And we should tell you that Brock and Gibson and Whitey and Suter and many of those great Hall of Famers will be in attendance. The 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. I thought, looking at the first inning and some of the at-bats the Cardinals put together, one of the best was Peralta.
Agreed.
Who was down 0-2 and then fought off some 2-strike pitches and eventually a bloop single to center to score a run.
They still count.
The 2-0. 3-0. Cincinnati now back on top of Miami. 3-2. Todd Frazier, a bases loaded walk. Don't count out those Reds just yet. 6 games out, but just 3 back of St. Louis.
Too many frontline players on that team to count them out.
Well, they turn him loose on 3-0. John Jay on deck.
It's funny, Dan. Some players don't like to hit 3-0. And there's a kind of an old saying that whatever you get 3-0, you'll probably get 3-1. So you don't want to be too jumpy. And players will say that they get jumpy when they swing at the 3-0. They're kind of half thinking they shouldn't swing at all, and then it just makes them struggle with their timing.
And he draws a walk. Second walk issued by Gossman. Devin Mesoraco, by the way, has just hit a grand slam for Cincinnati. So a 2-out walk to Peralta, and it brings in John Jay.
72 pitches now for Gossman.
He's going to be lucky to get through 5.
Agreed.
You mentioned earlier just how good the Orioles collectively have been, obviously with the home runs and the power, but their pitching, 2.80 ERA, third best in baseball since late June. And a base hit into right field. Here comes Wong. Markakis comes up firing to the plate, and save at the plate. Wong scores. And the Cardinals add to their lead. 3-1 St. Louis on the John Jay RBI, number 28.
And again, the Cardinals test a strong arm. This time it's Markakis, who has 10 outfield assists. But it's Colton Wong sliding in, just barely beating the tag from the catcher Joseph. And a 2-out hit for the Cardinals, something that a year ago we saw quite often.
Now Taveras, you know he'd love to make up for the bases loaded 1 out, hitting into a double play. Runners at second and third. Fastball and a strike. The strong arm of Adam Jones on the double play. Made the catch in center and threw out Holiday, tagging up from third. Redbirds with 6 hits. The 0-1. Now you can talk about Taveras not catching up with fastballs. He came in hitting .213. The track record, though, has been so good in the minor leagues. Granted, it's the minor leagues, not the major leagues. You just wonder if he gets some more time under his belt, knowing he's playing every day, what he might be able to do.
Well, they're not lobbing the ball in underhanded in the minor leagues. So, I mean, you've got some guys that can bring it there. You've got some talented pitchers. The difference between the big leagues and the minor leagues on the pitching side is they're not as consistent. That's what you see at the big league level. Guys that have figured out their game make quicker adjustments. But he's handled minor league pitching very well. The 2 batting titles. He's gonna figure it out at some point.
We've seen, though, this weekend some of those off-balance swings and chasing pitches out of the zone, and usually that's a sign of a player that's pressing a bit.
Yeah, and he's a bit defensive, too, I would say, at the plate.
Very good point, yes.
Normally when you see him, Dan, we saw him in spring training.
Ripping.
Aggressive, ripping, just airing it out. Now he's kind of waiting, and feeling for his swing instead of airing it out.
It's a good way to put it. The 2-2. That was better.
It was better, but you still see the hesitation. Right before he swung, it was like is it a strike? I don't know. Okay, now I'll swing, and he let it go. It's a hair. I mean, I'm talking, what, a 20th of a second difference. It's not a huge difference, but you can see it from the mound, and you can see it as you watch Taveras. Just that slight hesitation, I think, is costing. Commit to it. Commit to it.
The 2-2. Strikes out the side, but Colton Wong scores on the base hit by Jay to right. The Hyundai replay. The Cardinals' third run of the afternoon. That baseball is brought to you by Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer for 75 years. By the St. Louis Science Center, where we specialize in making science fun. And the Cardinals, Fox Sports, and the state of Missouri teaming up to help you stop smoking. For more information, call the Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Luke Powell, the former first baseman and MVP back in 1970 for the Baltimore Orioles. That team defeated Cincinnati en route to a world championship. There's talk of a World Series title led by Buck Showalter here in Baltimore this year as Markakis digs in for the second time. It's hard to argue with what Buck has been able to do. I mean, he has been really good, not just here, but even other stops.
What he's been has been a good developer. He develops talent. Kind of preaches what it would mean to turn a franchise around and start winning. And you know, there's something to be said for that. You walk into a clubhouse that's used to losing or hasn't won in a while, and kind of changing the mindset. That's the hardest battle in some ways. And it's not just at the big league level. You have to kind of have an organization-wide change of thought, change of direction. He's been good at that.
Little flare into right center, and it drops in. Remember, from 1998 to 2011, they had 14 straight losing seasons here in Baltimore. And Buck Showalter, what's he done? Well, he was with the Yankees in '95. They lost in the playoffs. He was gone. They win the World Series under Joe Torre in '96. He helped build, as you talked about, the Arizona franchise when it was an expansion team. Texas set the wheels in motion for some winning teams. And then Baltimore, who knows what happens now here in 2014.
They're definitely trending upward. If you're an Oriole fan, you have to like what you see.
Markakis is 2 for 2, and it's popped up near the Baltimore dugout and out of play. It's that famous slide in the playoffs of Ken Griffey Jr. with Seattle to defeat the Yankees, which wound up being the final game for Buck Showalter in New York. Joe Torre took over. It also wound up being the final game that Don Mattingly was a part of as well. And the Yankees actually wanted Mattingly to come back in '96. That slide ends 2 very good Yankees, Showalter and Mattingly. Fastball and a strike to Manny Machado. The seeing eye single back in the first inning.
We talked earlier about the problem and ultimately the suspension that Manny Machado had with the throwing the bat incident that came against the Oakland A's, but really should balance the story by saying that people around the Orioles say that was so out of character for him. I mean, this is not a guy that's a bad guy. He was a good teammate, good player, and it was almost out of the blue that he did that, and he's been a model citizen since then. So he's kind of chalked that up to youth and indiscretion at that point, but you know, not a guy I think they're worried about being a problem on in their clubhouse or off the field.
3rd overall pick in 2010, and he just turned 22. That's part of the equation as well. Was back on July 6th. On the inside corner, Machado can't believe it, and a strikeout for Lynn, number 5. There have been some upset hitters with this home plate strike zone of Gabe Morales.
Late movement off the plate. Lynn gets the call. Was not a strike. 3rd time the Orioles have been caught looking. 5th strikeout overall for Lance Lynn. Still a good pitch, but not a strike.
So here's Adam Jones with the great throw from center. Hit into a fielder's choice, and he's 0 for 1. Jones with a base hit into left center field. Markakis stopping at second base. 2 hits in the inning, and it brings in Nelson Cruz. It took a while for Nelson Cruz to become the player that we see now. He was with the Brewers, spent time with Texas, and now Baltimore. He started actually in the Mets system, was traded to Oakland for Ray Ordonez, the slick fielding shortstop, you may recall. Oakland then traded Cruz to Milwaukee for Keith Ginter. Brewers sent Cruz to Milwaukee as part of the Carlos Lee deal. And Texas involved, obviously. Two runners on as Cruz looks at a ball. And you'll always remember the play by David Freese, the ball that gets over Cruz, the no doubles defense. And what I found interesting is that in 2011, he led all American League right fielders in range factor. A stat developed by Bill James. It's calculated when you divide putouts and assists by the number of innings played. So think about that. You know, we talk about a player that has got to make the catch. The World Series is over, gets over his head, and yet he leads the American League right fielders in range factor.
Well, I can tell you it's a moment I'll never forget, whether his metrics say he should have caught it or not.
Agreed.
It turned out okay from my point of view. I remember so well, we were getting ready to do the post game, Al and I, and the game was over. And we were talking about how are we going to put this Cardinals season in perspective. Despite the loss, it was still a great season. Everybody feels bad, but you know what? A lot of thrills this season, and then you had to take all that paper and throw it away.
Happily.
Crazy moment.
Happily.
Exactly.
3-0. Bases loaded. First walk by Lynn, bases loaded, and it brings in Chris Davis. Chris Davis, also from the Texas Rangers, came for Tommy Hunter and Koji Uehara. He's now the Boston closer. 3rd in the MVP ballot last year. 53 home runs, won 138 RBIs, and he struck out back in the first. 147 home runs hit by Baltimore, and since 2012 this trio has been outstanding.
Cruz has had to miss a lot of games obviously during that time with his suspension, but still with 81. Jones 87. And Chris Davis at 106. Even though he's batting, Dan, 195, you hold your breath when he's at the plate.
Think about this too. Davis last year, 50 home runs plus 40 plus doubles in the season. There's only two other players that have done that. Albert Bell, Babe Ruth. Two and one.
Babe Ruth.
Watch out. Babe Ruth. Davis the first to get to that 50 home run plateau since Jose Bautista back in 2010.
We're playing in a stadium that could be the house that Ruth built, except they sold him to the Red Sox and then on to the Yankees.
Born and raised here in Baltimore in an orphanage. Two strikes on Davis. The 2-2, and he struck him out. Davis has stranded 5 already in the first couple of plate appearances he's had. 6 strikeouts for Lynn.
Well, the game's not all about home runs and strikeouts, but sometimes you need them. And Lance Lynn has come up with the strikeouts when he's needed them here this afternoon. Got one more to get here. But that's where power comes into this game. It is a game of hand-eye coordination. But power sure is helpful.
Here's Delman Young. He's got some pop. Good pitch in on his hands. That's where the Cardinals have been trying to pitch him all series. We saw that yesterday, pounding him in.
Well, I think
again in his first at bat.
I think he's made a huge mistake, Delman Young, as he gets in on the hand, barely misses his knuckles. But I think he's making a mistake, and it's kind of something the veteran shouldn't do. He's doing too good a job as a pinch hitter. 7 for 19.
Pretty good.
That'll keep you on the bench for a while, won't it?
A department that the Cardinals need some help in, too.
Agreed.
The 0-1.
282 career hitter. He's been a talented player, but when you've got this kind of guy coming off the bench, nice to have.
One ball, one strike, and a long look by Lynn. He's finally set.
See Lance looking at his finger. He's done that a couple of times, and I'm not sure if that's become a habit for him now. He's had blisters he's dealt with. I'm not saying he's dealing with them still, but you know, it's just become almost a habit to check those fingers, and may even be when he throws a wild pitch out of the zone, not where it's intended, that it aggravates it a bit more. That's possible. But Tony Cruz did not like his finish on that pitch and wants to get him back focused, hitting his spot here. Needs a strike. And he finished that pitch by looking at his hand again.
Three and one the count with the bases loaded. 2 outs, home half of the third. 3-2. They're off with the next pitch, the most exciting play in the game.
Well, he's going to have to run that fastball in the inner half again. Yeah, just hope that he jams Delman Young. He's done it a couple of times in this at-bat. Seems to be more of a free swinger inside. And just hope for the best. But as you mentioned, everyone will be moving. Could be a key pitch in this game right here.
Three-two. There they go. And we'll do it again. If you're young, you're not expecting anything off speed, I wouldn't anticipate. Lance Lynn throwing 80% fastballs, and he's already struck out 6 and trying to strike out the side here in the third as Cruz is out to visit.
And coming in from second base, Colton Wong. And usually when you see an infielder, your first thought is somebody's relaying something. And often that's the job, by the way, Dan, of guys on the bench. I mean, a player's got to be focused on something else, including Tony Cruz. He's not looking at the runner on second base. He's got to catch a 90-mile-an-hour fastball plus. So guys on the bench can see whether a runner seems to be communicating with the hitter or a coach is, and that's how you stop him.
3-2 pitch. In the air. Right field. Taveras makes the play. Young strands the bases loaded. Lynn gets out of the jam. St. Louis on top after 3. In the house, 25,000 fans, 16 and older, take home a Chris Carpenter bobblehead featuring his 2 World Series championship trophies, and tickets are available at cardinals.com/promotions. I'll tell you what, I think we should make Pat the reporter on the road for every game, and you know why.
Based on what he's just done for us, he has brought us that hot dog with crab and mac and cheese. What's the name of that place here out in center field? Stuckey's. And it is very, very good. It's good. See, all we had to do was ask. You think Jim would not have? Jim would have done that. Come on, Dan. Jim would have brought it for us.
He would have made us pay.
Dan said he would have made us pay. Just thought I should do a little translating there. Wow, that's outstanding. Cruz, Descalzo, and Carpenter in the Cardinals' 4th while Dan finishes his hot dog.
Oh, that's good.
3-1 St. Louis.
First pitch to Tony Cruz is a check swing and a foul ball.
Had some big pitches in this game, Dan, already, both ways, in the middle of threats. both pitchers have kind of wiggled out of some things, and you know that might not last. You've got to find a way to settle down and get some 1, 2, 3 innings.
I'm not sure Tavares saw that ball off the bat of Delman Young with the bases loaded. He got a late break on that ball, but made the play.
He did.
And the Orioles have stranded 5.
I think there may have been a little communication going on there with either the center fielder, Jay, or Colton Long, just kind of yelling to him where the ball was. And the communication matters in this game. You've got to say the right thing at the right time. It's not always easy to hear on the field, and you have to be, while a guy's running, your communication can't be a long sentence. It's got to just be something like in, and nothing more than that. Otherwise, you get confused.
1-2 the count on Cruz. Took some off it. And strikeout number 6. He struck out 4 of the last 6. He's starting to settle in. So a hot dog with mac and cheese and crab meat.
Oh, just sounds good, doesn't it? And it is good.
Who sits next to you on the plane?
Oh, right. Sometimes Jim Jackson. Sometimes Mike Kelling, our producer.
Good luck to Jim.
What's your point?
That swung on and missed by Descalso. Daniel struck out on a check swing. Back in the second inning.
You mentioned the good day Daniel had yesterday. 3 for 3 with a walk. No, Pat didn't bring us any fries. Did you notice that?
Boy, Coke would sound pretty good right about now, too. I'm not going to push it, though.
No, just be thankful.
Thank you, Pat Paris. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Buck Showalter in this inning has been sitting out of the sun in the dugout. On any of these close calls, he pops right out, gets to the top step, and you can hear him screaming up here. Descalso out to right. Markakis is there.
Fox Sports Supports is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer's 4th annual star-studded telecast. It'll be on September 5th on Fox Sports 2. Locally in St. Louis, cancer survivors and supporters will watch the telecast at Fox Sports Midwest Live. Sign up now at the American Cancer Society of Eastern Missouri Facebook page.
And a ball to Carpenter, who is singled into right. That came on a 3-2 pitch back in the first and scored. Also grounded out to first and Davis. The 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes.
I noticed you just had a Coke delivered to you.
I did.
Probably by the end of the game, you're going to have somebody fanning you, feeding you grapes.
That's you.
What else you want, Dan?
Let's get Horton that fan over here, guys. Put the fruit right there. Thanks. All right. Here's a 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
You know, the off-speed stuff has improved for Gausman as well today. He's gotten a lot of strikes with that split. And the Orioles again exaggerating the shift with 2 strikes on Carpenter.
Up the middle, slowly hit. That's Machado and a nice pick by Davis. So the Cardinals go in order. Midway through 4th, St. Louis on top. 3-1. 1983, we flash back the Baltimore Orioles. And Cal Ripken, who else, catching the final out as the Orioles had won the World Series.
What I remember,
Singleton right there.
I remember so much, and there's Tito Landrum in that shot. Tito hit a home run against Tony La Russa's White Sox in the playoffs to send them to the series, and Tony La Russa did not like talking much about Tito Landrum. He remembered that moment. Tito came over from the Cardinals, then came back to the Cardinals. So part of the tradition and the history of the Baltimore Orioles.
You saw in that graphic Cal Ripken, 2,682 consecutive games, and that pitch fouled back by Caleb Joseph. Ripken is the leader for the Orioles in hits, doubles, RBIs. From Havre de Grace, Maryland, which is about an hour outside of Baltimore. That's where he was born. And with his dad being a former player in the minor leagues, he was hurt. Cal Ripken Sr. never made it to the big leagues, was hurt in the late 50s. Cal used to travel a lot with the team. Obviously a great player and a Hall of Famer. And a record that probably will, you think that records will be broken. That one, I just can't see it.
I can't imagine the way schedules are and the way managers use their clubs now. I just can't imagine that. I mean, it may change, but you have an expanded rosters and all that. I mean, I just can't see that happen.
And it could have been more. Remember, Ripken was the one that said he wanted the day off, and it was September 20th of 1998 when the streak came to a close.
By the way, I know you wonder, what does the post-game set personnel do during the game while we're listening to you and your telecast? And what we did the other day is Pat Paris and I created an all my dad played in the big leagues team. And you think about that, that's a pretty darn good team.
How many were from the Big Red Machine?
And Ripken made it, by the way. He was our shortstop. He was our shortstop. There were plenty from the Big Red Machine.
Yeah. The legacies on that team are incredible.
Cardinals assistant hitting coach David Bell.
3 generations that went to the big leagues.
And Buddy Bell would be on that because his dad played in the big leagues, Gus Bell.
Off the top of your head, were there any players that you thought were right on the cusp that didn't make the cut?
Oh, there were a lot. We had probably 30 outfielders by the end of it. I mean, there's a lot of outfielders. That was tough, but I think Barry Bonds was kind of a shoe-in. Ken Griffey Jr. Pretty good start. Sisler. Dad was a Hall of Famer for the Cardinals.
I didn't know that.
We had Sandy Alomar Jr., the catcher, Roberto Alomar, the second baseman.
Hit to second, taken by Colton Long. That's why you don't want to miss the post-game show.
Exactly.
Some of the excitement brought to you by Rick Horton. We were talking yesterday about Bill DeWitt, the Cardinals owner, and his tie to the Browns and the St. Louis Cardinals. And the story that most people know is the jersey worn by Bill DeWitt as a bat boy of the Browns that went to Eddie Goodell, who was 3 feet tall, 7 inches. And that originally, the number was that of Bobby Dillinger, number 6. That was Bill's favorite player, third baseman that had led the league in steals 3 different seasons. But you could see that jersey that was worn by Eddie Goodell, one at bat, ordered not to swing, and that jersey is hanging in the Cardinals Hall of Fame now. It had been at Cooperstown, and Bill called up the Baseball Hall of Fame as Colton Wong digs in and asks that be returned. It is his property, and it's hanging right now at the Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum. They have a Grover Alexander jersey in there. I think one of the most unique items that they have is a ball from the 26 World Series, as Wong, a lot of top spin, and it drops in on that line drive. Markakis thought that would carry, but he topped it, and the top spin drove it right down into the ground. It's a base hit for Colton Wong, who's 3 for 3.
You can see him mentioning to the center fielder something about that top spin. He went back, and then he had to come in, and he at least kept the ball in front of him. He's a good outfielder. I've noticed he's been a bit slow in the outfield here, though. I've been surprised by that. He doesn't seem to get great jumps. He was a little tentative maybe on that, and by going back, that cost him.
Now it's Holliday, who is singled, a broken bat hit to center, and struck out. Rick, on the 26 World Series ball, which was the series I mentioned earlier, won by the Cardinals over the Yankees. It's a team signed ball, but on the sweet spot, for whatever reason, and I'm not sure the story behind it, I just saw it the other day, Babe Ruth in the middle of it.
Wow.
So the world champions plus Babe Ruth. Stan has donated a lot of his personal collection, the Musial family, and there's an item in there which was his first home run he hit when he was a grandfather. So he was still playing when he was a grandfather and hit a home run.
That's having a nice long career right there.
Man. But really neat stuff. If you get a chance to do it, head over to Ballpark Village and the Hall of Fame. Here's a double play ball. This will be the 17th time that Holliday has grounded into a double play.
Wong's hit to right, who scored a base hit, which makes him 3 for 3, but he's erased on that double play, and the pitching has started to improve here in this game. It's settled down a little bit. Thought maybe it'd be a slugfest and a big high-scoring game. Still could be, but both pitchers have gotten a little sharper.
Here is Matt Adams. Cardinals Authentics has a new baseball out that's got Bob Gibson's signature on the sweet spot, and then on the sides he's put the dates of closing out Game 7s, going the distance in World Series play to win 2 different World Series. Only man in baseball history to do that. And they have this limited edition ball with Bob Gibson's signature on it and the inscription that he's put together on both sides, and you won't find that anywhere else either except Cardinals Authentics. You can see it online, or if you head to the park. Very limited edition, so make sure if you want that baseball, you have to do it now, because those will go extremely fast.
One of the things I've noticed about interleague play, Dan, when we have a chance to do games in American League cities, I think it gives us a chance to think a little bit more about history. You don't necessarily have to do it in every telecast, but when you come to Baltimore, boy, you think of Frank Robinson. You just do. And Jim Palmer. Yeah, you know, they've got a very good team right now, but a chance to see the statues out in center field and what has made this franchise special, I think that's what interleague does for it.
Base hit into right field. It's also conjured up memories of Earl Weaver, who would be loving this series with all the home runs.
He sure would. Beaumont High School.
Brings in Johnny Peralta. Here's the statue of Jim Palmer.
The high leg kick. unique delivery. In the dugout,
Earl Weaver,
on the
his
home
number.
side, his number.
Earl Weaver actually was signed by the Cardinals as Peralta pops it up. His motto, pitching, defense, and the 3-run homer.
We've seen enough of those.
Ooh, have we ever? We head to Miami after the game today. It's about a 2.5, 3-hour flight to South Florida. Shelby Miller and Tom Kohler will go tomorrow. We'll come your way at 5:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. Last 3 starts, Miller has had A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate. And you'd have to think that tomorrow night that would be the case again, with Tony Cruz getting the start today. 5th inning, bottom half rolls in. Lynn has set down 5 straight. He has struck out 6. Here's Markakis, and he takes a ball low and away. We were talking about Earl Weaver before we went to a timeout. His father was actually a dry cleaner that used to clean the uniforms of both the Browns and the Cardinals in St. Louis.
Is that right?
Yeah. And Earl was signed as a second baseman by the Cardinals back in the late 40s. Never made it to the big leagues as a player.
I can't imagine there were any more managerial victories from one high school in America than from Beaumont High School with both Dick Williams,
right,
and Earl Weaver.
Pretty amazing. Here's a 2-1. Past Wong and into right field. Markakis 3 for 3. He's had a nice series at the plate.
He has an easy swing too, doesn't he? There's really not a lot of complication to it. Just puts the bat on the ball. Reminds me a little bit of Andre Ethier from the left side with his swing. Just kind of a simple, he's not kind of just airing out his swing, and his average climbing over 290. Does have 10 home runs. He's got the occasional pop, but who doesn't in this lineup?
Now Manny Machado on the road. This is the 6th time in interleague play that Lynn has made a start. Previous 5, he was 0-4 with an ERA close to 7. Road interleague starts.
And looking at that number, and just couldn't really make heads or tails of that as to why for Lance Lynn. There's no, the numbers say one thing, but then the follow-up question is always why. And it really doesn't make sense to me. I would think teams would have a hard time figuring out how to hit Lance
Exactly.
Lynn that weren't used to seeing it. Usually the advantage goes to the pitcher.
The one thing that I would think is that interleague play, it just seems this way, but more times than not is in the middle months of the summer, and that's when he's had his biggest problems.
I think that's the best answer I'm not that I've thought of, but I've heard to explain that. So you get an A.
Thank you. Base hit into center. So again, he's dealing with runners on. That pitch was up in the heart of the order coming up. First two have reached here in the home half of the fifth.
Mislocation here for Lance Lynn. Cruz wants this down and away, and it's middle up. And middle up typically doesn't work. A little less movement on it. Didn't have the hop to it. Is meant to be a sinker. One of his running fastballs as opposed to the four-seamer. And Machado's eyes lit up, and he drove it into center. So now some more work to do for Lance Lynn.
Adam Jones, 1 for 2. In the air out to center. One away as the runners tag up. One from second to third. The other stays put at first, and runners at the corners for Nelson Cruz.
And a smart play by John Jay to make sure that throw came into second base, and to know that he was too deep to throw out Markakis at third, and he got the throw in right on the money to second to keep Machado from going to second. And what that does is it keeps the double play in order.
Cruz has an RBI double and also walked. Rounded into 15 double plays to lead the Orioles.
Be nice if he would pad his lead.
Rounded into number 15 late yesterday against Seth Maness, who really did a nice job out of the Cardinals pen. One ball and one strike. Turned down the qualifying offer from Texas, which was $14 million, and settles for a one-year, $8 million deal from Baltimore, and has paid big dividends. Runner scores. That ball scoots into the dugout. Wild pitch. Cruz could not keep it in front, and it's 3-2 as Markakis scores his second run.
Well, Tony tries to get out and block this, but it scoots past it. A slider in the dirt, took a hop to the left, gets past Cruz, and at first not sure whether or not he should try to score or not from third is Markakis, but he gets to walk home.
Runner at second base. 2 balls and 1 strike. Off the end of the bat, and it's 2-2. And it's made this now a 3-2 Cardinals lead. On deck, Chris Davis, who has struck out twice. Lynn with 1 walk today, and that was Cruz back in the third.
And that's been a big plus for him. Can't walk the Baltimore Orioles or you'll pay for it. The power's too good.
He skies one into center field. Jay under it, gets himself in a position to throw. And there's 2 away. Chris Davis with a runner at second base, 2 outs. Next time you're looking to pick up great seats to the game, head to StubHub and you can earn 2% back in fan rewards on every purchase, including Cardinals tickets. And with all-in pricing, there are no surprise fees at checkout. StubHub, home road, your ticket to upgrades and more.
August 10th, 2013, you walk Chris Davis here. August 10th, 2014, I think you pitch to him.
I'm with you. I think right now he's shown that you can pitch to him and you can strike him out. Now, he's going to get his fair share of home runs, and that may happen. But I think in this spot, you go after him.
But a year ago, you don't even take the chance.
No. Davis came up with runners at second and third in the first, and he struck out with 1 out. Then it was the bases loaded, 1 out. Struck out in the third. Was an all-star last year. Won the Silver Slugger Award. RBI and home run title of the American League. Wong is on the outfield grass. Pitch is in, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
I believe the Cardinals believe that they can get him out in, that his bat is not fast enough right now. It's powerful enough, but the bat speed is not there for Chris Davis. So they're going up and in on him, trying to jam him. Let's see if they go back in again.
Three and 1.
Got the arms extended there, but still a little bit behind on that fastball from Lance Lynn, whose velocity has increased, Dan, as the game has gone on.
Sure has. He's at 96 pitches.
He never seems to lose velocity when he gets up to 100 pitches. His body may tire out and his command may go, but velocity seems to be pretty constant for Lance Lynn.
Lefty getting loose in the pen for Baltimore. Time is called. 2 outs. Count is full. Three-two pitch. Skied in the air out to left. Holiday under it and makes the catch. Orioles pick up a run. They've cut into the lead. It's now 3-2 as we head to the 6th. The AT&T fan photo. It's a rematch of the all St. Louis World Series of 1944. The Browns turn into the Orioles. The Cardinals have stayed in St. Louis. Baseball in Baltimore prior to 1954, early 1900s. There's the Orioles in 1903. They became the New York Highlanders. That eventually becomes the New York Yankees. And when you think about the Browns in St. Louis, they didn't get there until they were with Milwaukee. They eventually arrive in St. Louis, but initially one season with Milwaukee.
We've been talking about the Browns quite a bit and their heritage in St. Louis and how it's connected to Baltimore. Another name, Roy Sievers, connected to both that conversation as the 1949 Rookie of the Year for the Browns, but he also went to Beaumont High School in St. Louis. T.J. McFarland takes over for Gossman, and we talked about the high pitch count. Right-hander was settling down, but the pitch count got up high enough, and he's still young, that we're seeing now one of the 4 left-handed relievers in this Baltimore pen, and they have a very good ERA. We've talked about it, Dan, collectively. Not all of them overpowering, but they are very, very effective.
This is T.J. McFarland, who is from Orland Park, Illinois. Rule 5 pickup back in 2012, selected from Cleveland. Made 38 appearances, 1 start a year ago. First big league action was in 2013. As Jay slaps it the other way. Machado, watch this. How about that throw? Holy smokes. Folks, that's a shortstop playing third base.
And that's a shortstop playing third base who's got the arm of a pitcher.
Wow.
Because that's an off-balance throw with some heat on it. And you talk about Machado to the people who follow him daily, and the one thing that stands out for him, aside from all of his other abilities, is his arm.
Brooks Robinson won 16 consecutive Gold Gloves. That's tied for second with a guy that we saw the other night, Jim Cott. He was part of the '82 World Series team. He was working for MLB Network. Gold Glove, as many of you do know, it's voted on by the managers and the coaches. They've added a sabermetric look at it as well. 25% of that vote is from sabermetrics. That's tapped off the plate. SABR, S-A-B-R, that's Society for American Baseball Research.
It's funny you said. I was thinking about that today. We throw that term around quite a bit of sabermetric. Yeah, I've known the sabermetric people, the SABR people, I should say, for a very long time, and been to some of their luncheons they do where they talk about kind of the innovative things in baseball as far as numbers are concerned, and they've been around for a while, studying, researching.
That's a foul ball.
And in some cases, Dan, trying to keep updated all the stats of baseball. I would say baseball, more than any other sport, is tied to statistics. You watch a football game, average runs, yards per carry, it's of interest, but it doesn't have the historical perspective in that game that it does in things like that in baseball.
Longevity and the fact that this game, this diamond, is the same that it was 100 years ago. Now, some things have changed. Dimensions of ballparks. The mound after Bob Gibson, 68. Mound was lowered 5 inches. It's inside to Tavares. By the way, if you're wondering who has won the most Gold Gloves, Greg Maddux won 18. Ozzie Smith 13 for St. Louis. And Machado, the Gold Glove and the Platinum Glove. It's the best all-around defender last year. Here's a 3-2. Tavares with a single. The first two have reached against this lefty.
Ball not hit hard by Taveras, but this is what happened yesterday to a left-handed reliever for Baltimore. That was Brian Mattis. Gave up a couple of hits to left-handers. Neither of them hit very hard. He was chased. And the lefty again doesn't get his guys that he's called upon to get, John Jay and Taveras. Cardinals up by a run, 6th inning. Descalso up next. Expecting a bunt here. In on the grass, both Machado and Davis.
Cruz has struck out twice. And takes a ball, did not show bunt.
Oquendo looks into the dugout, flashes the sign on the receiving end. We saw Tony Cruz. Runners have to know it too. And Davis now backs up a few steps at first base.
Outfield is straight away. You walk into that sabermetric luncheon and you're like, my friends call me the Cruiser.
I'm going to take you to one time.
I'd enjoy going. I really would. I enjoy sabermetrics. I don't like all of them.
Right.
But I do think it's a unique way of looking at the game, and I don't think you should ever shut out any way to look at baseball.
Well, I think the sabermetric people that really care about getting things right, I think they welcome the debate on which ones are more effective, and the whole idea is to explain the game better to a new group of fans.
Here's a ground ball slowly hit to the right side. Taveras taking out his man at second. That was the shortstop Flaherty. And the Cardinals will have the runners at first and third for Descalso.
And it's a good thing that Tony Cruz didn't hit that ball hard.
Friends call him the Cruiser.
I got the reference.
Sorry.
I was ignoring you. Haven't you figured out yet that that's what I do occasionally? I'm sorry. I thought that was a pretty good hint.
Here's Descalso, who was struck out and flied to right. I want to party with you, Rick Horton.
Okay.
Breaking ball, and that's fouled for strike one.
Dan McLaughlin, he's our big toe.
Sergeant Holcomb. Outfield very shallow for Daniel Descalso. Cardinals lead it by the score of 3-2. They have 10 hits. Fastball and a strike. 0-2. Cardinals have stranded 5 already in this game. Just missed, low and away. This could be a very key at bat for the Cardinals in this game right here. 1-2 the count. The next two, Descalso. Base hit into right field as he comes through. Have a series, Daniel Descalso getting a chance to play, and he's made the most of it.
That hit might get him to 200 for the first time in a while, and it's a huge hit in this game. Baltimore in their offense are always lurking. You want to extend the lead. He does it. And he just kind of rakes the ball into right field. Pitch down and away. Way to go, Daniel.
Runners at first and second. And here is Carpenter. Carpenter singled and scored back in the first. He's grounded to first and grounded to short. 11 hits for St. Louis. That pitch taken low. One ball, one strike on Carpenter.
McFarland has already given up 3 hits to left-handers in this inning. Matt Carpenter trying to make it 4.
And a 1-2. Got him. Earlier in the at-bat, it went with Carpenter, and this time he strikes out. First strikeout for the lefty.
Tries to catch that outside corner. Looks like he got it perfectly placed, down and away. It seems like you're always going to make somebody mad when you're an umpire. How about going to work and knowing that's true?
Nobody's happy. Wong, 3 hits and 3 plate appearances. The pitch in the dirt.
Everybody at the ballpark today, including the fans here, all have an affiliation, a rooting interest, except the umpires. I did see a guard here at the ballpark dressed in orange. He told me he's a closet Cardinal fan.
Met that same fan.
And he was going to get off of work somewhere in the middle of the game and go get his Cardinal jersey on and sit in the stands and root for the Redbirds. I'm not sure I should have ratted him out like that. I hope he still has a job tomorrow.
Here's a 1-1. 1-2.
But he's been a fan for years.
Cardinals lead it 4-2. Wong with runners at first and second. Outfield shallow straight away. Slowly hit to the right side. Barehanded base hit for Wong. The ball gets away, but Cruz is still at third. Do or die for Jonathan Schoop. Trying to make the barehanded play. And if Cruz was a little bit further down the line, you wonder if the Cardinals try scoring him.
At first thought, I wasn't sure whether Schoop had a little bit more time than to make that as a barehand. But you look on the replay, and Wong is running down the line very quickly. Now 4 hits for Colton Wong here this afternoon. And that's exactly what it was, Dan, a do-or-die play for Schoop. And yes, I think the runner Cruz, that ball gets past him a little bit more, scores.
Now it's Holiday with the bases loaded. It ties his career high in hits with the infield single by Colton Wong. Inning started with a base hit by Jay. That was an infield hit. Tavares, little flare into center. Cruz hit into a fielder's choice. Descalso base hit into right.
I'm surprised he's in this game pitching to Matt Holiday.
I am too. Let's go back to Tony Cruz, and the question we're asking, should he have scored?
Here's the jump. He rounds third. He's looking. He sees it gets past him, but in his judgment, at least at the time, on him to say, you know, can I get home by the time Scope recovers to get that baseball? He opted to give Matt Holliday a chance to drive him in. Again, it goes back to the plate earlier in this game. You play the percentages. You know, stolen bases are that. You say, hey, we need to run. But when you run, you know you got about a 25% chance of being thrown out. It's going to happen. So do you force the issue or not? And there's so many variables involved, including the fact that Holliday's at the plate right now.
1-2 the count on Holliday.
Only 3 right-handed relievers for Baltimore. And I wonder if this is one of those moments they wish they had 4.
We saw Tommy Hunter yesterday, and he was lights out.
We've seen Brad Brock both games. Their 8th inning guy, more or less, is Darren O'Day, and we've not seen him yet. Maybe too early for him.
2-2. Hit foul. Holliday, his base hit back in the first. Struck out swinging in the third and grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. And I think what you're saying, Rick, is that maybe you're limited to 2 righties because Brock's been used in back-to-back games.
Right. Maybe too early for O'Day, but if Holliday hits a home run, it's too late.
McFarland had 31 pitches. 2-2 the count. Some anxious moments right now for Buck Showalter. Big spot in this game. 2-2, and that will get out of play.
Every time we've had a shot of Showalter in this 3-game series, it seems like he's been mad at something. That's his constant
He
look.
doesn't smile a lot, that's for sure.
It's his demeanor. Like he's just getting ready to have an argument, just had one, or he's thinking about one.
It's another 2-2 pitch. Holliday with a high fly ball out to deep right center field. Jones with just enough room on the track. He might crack a smile now. Descalso the RBI single. It's 4-2. is coming to Busch Stadium. That'll be August 18th. That's a Monday against Cincinnati. Exclusive bobblehead, and get yours at cardinals.com/theme. It's also those $6 tickets available for that Cincinnati series. You were fired up.
You know me, Dan. I get fired up a lot.
That one caught your attention, no doubt. 97 pitches for Lynn. Here's Delman Young, who's 0 for 2. Shallow right. Drops in for a hit. Not only have we had a lot of home runs, but even on both sides, the hits, you don't see a lot of hard hit balls, it seems like. Just little floaters, little soft line drives.
I don't know how to add to that because that's almost exactly what I was going to say, Dan, and that's painful for me to have to admit that. But I noticed that too. We've seen some ground ball hits. Well, I just didn't. I mean, I would have almost verbatim said what you just said, and so it must be just a genius comment on your part. But we have seen flares, both sides, kind of nice, easy swings that have produced jam shots, base hits, and there we are thinking alike.
That's different. Base hit through the hole.
Agreed.
And again, the first two have raged for Baltimore. If the Cardinals cannot hold on in this game, you can look at a couple of spots, I think, and say, what happened? When you talk about a team being station to station, and Rick, we've had that in this game where they've had hits but don't score where you think they might pile on.
4 hits in the first inning, and they pick up 2 runs. And again, in the 6th inning, they did pick up a run on just 4 hits. So you look at the scoreboard and you say, boy, we've got 12 hits today. We should be winning this big time, but just the 4-2 lead means not getting the power hit somewhere in the midst of that, and also not getting enough of the 2-out hits. The fly ball to center in the first inning by Tavares, where Adams was thrown out at the plate, that stopped that inning, which could have blown up. And Matt Holliday driving one to center field with the bases loaded. He could have blown up the 6th inning. It just didn't happen. Choate and Seagrass, 2 lefties, getting loose.
Saw Seagrass pitching yesterday, and Randy Choate has not been used all that much. Ryan Flaherty has been called out on strikes and also grounded out to first. Hits from the left side and has pretty good speed. Scope on deck, very good speed. That pitch misses low and away. And we talk about pitch count an awful lot, and I know we all look at it, and he's hit the century mark, but pitch count with Lynn, I think you look at it and don't pay as much attention to it as maybe some of the others.
He's a horse.
Back to Lynn. He'll go to second, out there, on to first. Safe. Mike Matheny will go out. We'll see if he'll have a challenge here. He'll take his time getting to our first base umpire, Mark Carlson.
Very close play at first base. Lance Lynn made sure of 1 out.
It's a perfect throw and lead, too.
And I don't think you can make it any quicker. He seemed very kind of calm as he was fielding that ground ball, but you've got to let the ball get to you anyway. So I don't think Lance Lynn does anything wrong. Here's a look at the play at first. The foot is on the bag, and he's safe. Flaherty got down the line in a hurry. On a ball hit back to the box, you think it's going to be a double play.
As I mentioned, very good speed.
Yeah.
Good speed here with Scope as well.
Still trying to understand, and I'm sure there's a reason, Dan, why there's 2 left-handers throwing at one time.
Only thing I can think of is that Manus is off limits. Neshek's your 8th inning man. Rosenthal your closer. Use Seagrass as a righty, so to speak. And Choate your specialist. But I'm with you. I'm not really sure.
I'm sure they know. I'm sure Blaze Ilsley, the bullpen coach, has relayed the situation to them from Derek Lilliquist to the Cardinals dugout. But typically you get up for a batter in a situation. You're up for Markakis. Or you're up for whoever.
Popped up. Cruz has got it. A big second out. Not an easy play for Tony Cruz to locate it and then hustle. That ball was not popped up that high.
It was not. He had to get there quickly, and normally that includes communication from your pitcher, especially about where the ball is. Yell up, or back. Pitch jams him again. He has been in Scopes' kitchen. He can't seem to lay off that pitch.
Well, this is the scenario, Rick, you were talking of.
You're
first
up
and third, and
you're
up for Markakis.
Yep. Let's see who they told that to.
Well, Mike has indicated the lefty. Unfortunately, there's two of them out there, and they're both looking at each other. I'm assuming it's Choate.
You assume correctly. Gum in. I'm ready. Nice job, Lance Lynn.
Missouri are teaming up to help you stop smoking. For more information, call the Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Randy Choate is in relief to face a lefty, Nick Markakis, and that's 53 plate appearances that he's faced lefties, and they're hitting .094 against him.
He's a left-handed specialist, and this is a left-handed specialist situation. Markakis 3 for 3 here this afternoon against Lance Lynn.
What you get concerned about with Randy Choate, since the San Diego series, he's had one appearance. One.
Feast or famine if you're a reliever. He's been around long enough that you learn how to deal with that and stay sharp. Let's hope he's sharp for the next, 5 or 6 pitches? Because that's his job, and that's it.
And a strike. Many times we'll see Matheny stay with his starter through the inning. And in this particular spot, Lynn is lifted, having thrown just over 100 pitches, 5 2/3, and I don't think anybody argues with this move here with Randy Choate facing the lefty, as good as he's been against left-handers in his career and certainly this year.
And Markakis 3 for 3. I think you throw all that together, the numbers say use Choate, and perfect situation for him. Markakis, a very good hitter. Choate has that ability to throw that sweeping breaking ball and fool left-handed batters. And again, your day is going to be decided on how well you throw anywhere between 2 and 5 pitches as a specialist. So you better be ready. You better be sharp.
It's a guy that's used to throwing 70 games a year. Nothing in 2 the count on Nick Markakis. There's that slider that misses low and away. I don't think there's any doubt when used properly to face that one lefty, Randy Choate has filled the role that the Cardinals signed him for. Received a nice deal and came to St. Louis in year 2 of a 3-year contract. 1-2, and it's a base hit. Markakis, big day. 4 for 4 for Nick Markakis, and now 2 runs scored and an RBI, his 40th.
So the pitch from Choate is actually a good one off the plate, but Markakis makes it a bad day for Randy Choate. Just a few pitches, the result not what he wanted. Can't blame the pitch selection, location, anything about it. Credit Markakis.
Three pitches in the game, gave up 3 hits and a run. It was earned, and you may recall we saw some blood on the pant leg of his uniform. That was not from a blister. That was not from anything that would be involved with the holding of the ball. It was on the outer portions of the hand near the knuckle. So the Cardinals said there was no concern there, and here he is back-to-back days.
Well, the reason we were concerned is he threw 2 or 3 pitches that were atypically wild for Kevin Segrist. He's a guy that's had really good command and control. And something on the back of his hand, and there's the blood you see on his left pant leg, and pretty noticeable. And then again, something on the maybe the back of his hand, back of one of his knuckles was bleeding a bit, and nothing to do with his fingers, which of course are more important from a pitcher's point of view.
Here's Manny Machado, 2 for 3 today. Single to left and a single to center. Runners at first and third. 4-3 Cardinals here in the home half of the 6th. First pitch, it's popped up. Segrist just gets out of the way. Who wants it? Wong takes control and makes the play. The Orioles strand 2. They've left 8 on, but they pick up a run. Lynn, a chance at a win today. Cardinals clinging to a 1-run lead and 9 outs to go. Lance Lynn a chance at the victory, 5 2/3. Wong has matched his career high in hits in a game, 4. Gausman, the starter for Baltimore, 5 innings, and Markakis also is 4 for 4.
A lot of baseball left, though. 9 very tough outs to get.
McFarland took 33 pitches to get through the first inning of work in relief of Gausman. He had the bases loaded with Holiday, and he flied out to right center. Cardinals, though, did pick up a run. Orioles have answered. 1-run lead. Strike 2 on Adams. Matt with an RBI today, a strikeout, and a single. Outfield is shallow in center. That's Adam Jones. Up the middle, but positioned perfectly, Jonathan Scope. Interesting defense. And that's Flaherty, the shortstop, who made the play, not Scope. But how the Orioles are shifting pitch by pitch.
They really are moving quite a bit.
Follow the Cardinals every game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, score, stats, audio, free MLB.tv, game of the day, and more. Just visit Cardinals.com today. So the shift for Adams paid off, and that was Flaherty that made the play. And it's another shift here for Johnny Peralta. Have you noticed that primarily the shifts, they just seem to come up against left-handers, not so much righties?
Yeah, and I'm not sure why teams are more likely to shift against left-handers and right-handers, and you seem like they would do it against power hitters more than non-power hitters.
Exactly.
I think is another thought. But in Peralta's case, he is a guy that's pulled quite a bit, although lately we've seen him hit that right center field gap. But way off the line in right field is Markakis, and they're giving him the right field line.
Peralta lost his bat. You think it's a feeling that if you shift and you leave, and the Orioles would be a bad example. Machado is a great defender and really a shortstop playing third, but your third baseman typically are going to have a little bit more range than your first baseman.
Could be. And I still think it's smarter to use your shortstop on the left side of the infield in a shift situation anyway, and you definitely have more range then.
One and two the count. Peralta with an RBI single. That was back in the first inning. He has walked and grounded out. We're in the 7th of a game that both teams are really grinding it out here on this Sunday afternoon. I've used that term a lot, but it just seems that's the way it has been for St. Louis. And he goes to right, and a base hit. McFarland has allowed 4 hits. Check that, 5 hits and an inning and a third.
You think we'll ever get to the place where we actually switch left fielders and right fielders at the whim of a particular batter? Seems to me Tony La Russa did that a couple of times in stadiums where left and right field were tricky. And I want to say Fenway at one point, and in the middle of maybe Houston another, where you'd kind of switch in the middle of a game for different reasons. But I wonder if Sabermetrics is busy studying that right now.
Here's Jay through the legs of McFarland, diving stop. Out at second. No, they're going to say yes, they will. They'll call him out at second base. His scope was able to at least reach into the glove, and with that, Mike Matheny is debating as to whether or not he wants to come out and argue.
I can tell you he would have been safe if it was April and May.
You bet.
This is the rule, the transfer rule that was discussed, implemented, and then canned Does he catch it or not? Is that in the act of throwing? Does he have a handle on it, or does he fumble it on the flip? Hard to tell on that angle.
And when they decided to change the rule back, one of the things that they were going to talk about was that the umpires could come together. You could ask for help if it was a egregiously bad call, and I'm not sure that this is. I think replay will show that he's out. Whether you agree with it or not.
I don't know. It's in between for me, because I don't know whether that ball's ever sticking in that glove. It hits the glove, but is he really catching or not? He's trying to catch it with a flat glove and his hand in the transfer to make a quick glove-to-hand movement. But here's the other side of this. If you're Mike Matheny, why not challenge this? It's the 6th inning of a game. Challenge it. And I think we're overrating and overplaying the percentage that a manager has in terms of being right or not. I think it's so situational. In this situation, what have you got to lose?
Yeah, absolutely.
What you're really losing is the opportunity to challenge another play that might happen in this inning.
Rick, when I talk to people around baseball, just like you do, I think we're finding out that more and more the players, but certainly the managers, are becoming more frustrated with replay, because they feel that there's enough calls to overturn that aren't being overturned, and calls that they feel are easily made on replay.
Well, the people who said this winter, when this was being discussed, that we just want to get the play right, my comment unilaterally was, you're not going to get what you want. And I think that's what we're finding.
Yep.
Is that you assume that by looking at it and by studying it and by overanalyzing it and sending it to New York and thinking about it some more, everybody will be happy at the end of the day, but they're not. Now, I'm not saying there's been value to it, don't get me wrong, but I think if you're looking for perfection in a job that's handled by human beings who are imperfect, I mean, that's part of this game, is the imperfection of it. The players deal with failure. The umpires aren't always right. And what will they call? Well, I'm going to think about it some more. Reconvene the meeting.
I wonder if Major League Baseball is going to cut down on the length of the replays. You've only got a certain amount of time in New York to look at it, analyze it, because right now this has certainly disrupted the flow of the game.
Well, it always does.
Not like it had a great flow before, but pitcher McFarland standing out there, everybody's watching the board. There's some, though, that turn out more than others, and they overturn the call. So the Cardinals' challenge pays off, and the call is overturned, just like you said.
Now, I'm not sure Buck Showalter is able to come out and argue this. In my mind, you can't argue it. What are you doing? He's out. I mean, don't you throw out Buck Showalter here? And you do. You can't argue something that's already been decided.
It looked like Showalter saying, give me the headset. I want to talk to the guys in New York. And he's screaming for them to bring him a headset. And now a fan has just thrown food on the field near Tony Cruz. They're going to eject the fan. And Showalter is inciting this crowd. Some of the Cardinal players are looking back at the crowd as Cruz was hit by some popcorn, it looked like, but food was thrown on the field. Now that would have been great. Showalter on the headset and arguing with the umpire in New York. You want replay, baby, you got it.
Must-see TV there. It's exactly what Mike Matheny was talking about last week at home. He was mad at the second base umpire at home because he couldn't talk to the man in New York. Mike said he didn't want emotions to come out of this game. Well, they're not out completely. They just cost you some money. Did it stick in his glove or not? New York says no. I tend to agree with him. You decide.
Give me those headsets. Here's Tavares. First two have reached. No activity in the Baltimore bullpen, and Oscar pulls it foul. So that'll be an error on Jonathan Scope.
and potentially a huge play in this game.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Nothing in 2. Taveras came up in the first with the bases loaded, line to center. Jones would catch Adams trying to tag up for a double play. He struck out with runners at second and third. He singled to center. Now in the hole, nothing in 2.
It's odd on those plays. The pitcher, as you mentioned, the flow is disrupted for him. And I haven't seen very many pitchers, and I wonder whether they could even do it or not. I'm going to have to research. Are they allowed to throw warm-up tosses during
yes.
a review? They
yes,
don't seem to do it, though. I mean, normally it's a minute or 2.
So a fan was ejected. As I look down there now, it's a group of fans being ejected. They're about 3 or 4 rows back of the on-deck circle of the Cardinals. Buck Showalter has been ejected, and that's the first time I've seen him or anybody try to argue with the guys in New York. Taveras breaks his bat.
The guy who was being ejected was sitting next to a gal, and I can only surmise that they were on a date, and she was kind of embarrassed by him, but she's got to go too. She's an accomplice. And they are ushered out of the stadium, and rightly so.
An accomplice.
Aiding and abetting.
Oh, man. 1-2 the count.
The swing of Oscar Taveras has gotten a little loopy to me, too. His balance is off, and his swing is very much of an uppercut. I have thought of him as a guy that has a very kind of smooth, flat swing, but he just almost seems like he's pulling off the ball a bit. Balance part of that.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Taveras pulls it to first. Out at second. And safe at first. And it's up to Cruz, who is 0 for 3. Runners at the corners. Will stay here in the final out of the top of the 7th with the singing of God Bless America. McFarland's trying to keep it a 4-3 St. Louis lead. And Peter Borges will pitch run for Taveras.
This is less about running and more about defense next inning anyway, but why not take advantage of the opportunity? If you're going to put Borges in defensively, go ahead and put him in now. Much faster runner than Taveras.
And a ball in the gap, and he may score. He started game 1.
This game has had a lot of twists and turns already, hasn't it?
Sure has.
And did I tell you that Buck Showalter looked like he was getting ready to have an argument all day today?
You were right.
He was waiting for that, wasn't he?
He was edgy.
He was.
High chopper to second. Scope backs up. And he'll make the play. The Cardinals strand 2. They can't cash in. They've stranded 10 today. We stay right here for the singing of God Bless America from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Ladies ERA for the All-Star this year. Our Chevy called to the pen.
Peter Borges, who pinch ran for Taveras, will play center field. John Jay moves to right. Pat Neshek has had an outstanding season. But a lot of outs to get left in this game, Dan. We're talking about 3 innings worth of work here between Neshek, Rosenthal. You've already used Choate and Segrist to get this far. Are you hoping for 2 innings from Pat Neshek?
That's what I'm thinking. You're not going to use Nick Greenwood. Freeman has been beat up in this series. The starters in the first 2 games for the Cardinals gave them a total of 7 innings. Today they get 5 2/3 from Lynn. The relievers have pitched 9 innings prior to this ball game in the first 2. 0-2 on Adam Jones. The other thing too, Rick, that I like, and you and I were talking about this earlier, you know, sometimes, and we see it across the board in Major League Baseball, that your closer, well, he's only going to be pitching in the 9th, and your 8th inning guy is only in the 8th. This might be your game here when you talk about what Neshek is facing in Jones, Cruz, and Davis. 3 big bats.
Right. Key inning, 7th inning, maybe just as important as the 9th inning. And you've got Sam Freeman as a possibility with a key left-hander.
Exactly. Got him, and a strikeout of Jones, and that's how we start the home half of the 7th.
Goes up in the zone to get him. Neshek has really used all 4 corners of the plate. You think about the kind of typical Pat Neshek pitch, and I wouldn't say there is a typical one. He's had that sinking fastball down and in on right-handers, the one that rides up. Uses the changeup and the slider. You know, you talked quite a bit, Dan, about how Pat Neshek decided this year to use his fastball more often. But not only is he using it, he's varying it. Pitching up, down, in, out.
Now Nelson Cruz. Here's a 1-0. Anytime I think of multiple innings for a closer, I think of the great Hall of Famer Bruce Sutter. Sutter worked more than an inning for 188 of his saves. He surpassed 100 innings pitched on 5 different occasions, and one year he had 99. I mean, you talk about being a closer, that guy was it.
Something tells me Bruce is watching Cardinal baseball today from his home in Atlanta.
He doesn't miss much, does he?
He does not.
What a nice man, gentleman, Hall of Famer. Deservedly so. 300 career saves, defined by the split finger. Neshek defined by this delivery. It's one of the oddest you'll see in baseball, but boy, is it effective. Dodgers have a 4-1 lead on Milwaukee, and that moves to the top of the 8th. A.J. Ellis's first home run of the year. Got him, a strikeout of Nelson Cruz. 2 down.
This time he uses the fastball to cut the outside corner. 2 different locations, 2 different styles of movement. And I'd like to lobby for Pat Neshek having the 8th. Where do I sign up for that? One thing he's been doing too, Dan, is he gets outs quickly. That's his pitch number 10 this inning, and works quickly. Typically pounds the strike zone.
Now Davis. Beginning of the year, there is no way you would let Neshek be a part of this situation.
No.
Lefty and a power hitter like Davis.
Again, let's go back a year ago. They'd say Pat Neshek against Chris Davis. What do you think?
Changeup drops in for a strike. The oohs and ahs from the crowd here at Camden Yards. Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Been telling you at the name of this beautiful facility and some of its unique features all weekend long. Change up again, gets him to reach, a ground ball. Long from the outfield grass, and they get Davis.
Just barely.
12 pitches for Pat Neshek. Will he pitch the 8th? The unique delivery of the All-Star that's been sensational this year. One of the best signings by John Mozeliak this past year. What a pickup he's been. 4-3 St. Louis. To our studio and a Bomberito Sports Update with Jim Hayes. All right, Jim, looking forward to the post game with you and the Cardinal Hall of Famer, Jim Edmonds. Andrew Miller, the former Boston Red Sox reliever, is into the game. A hard-throwing lefty, highly thought of since he was drafted. He was a starter for a while. He's bounced around. Big guy, big arm, and that's why so many people, and he throws from the left side, have taken so many chances on him.
There's the look of the play that got Mr. Showalter, Buck Showalter, tossed. That was Scope, the second baseman, who couldn't handle that flip.
They called that replay the definitive look, and that's why it was overturned. Here's Descalso getting the start at third base. Struck out on a check swing, fly to right, and an RBI base hit to right field. Average now above 200 at 202. Big gap in right center. There's talk that Miller could finish up this season with Baltimore, obviously, and then head back to Boston after the season, along with John Lester. Descalso with a base hit, and he's thinking too. Getting a chance to play, and he's making the most of it.
5 hits in this series. Cardinals need to get some insurance runs here in the 8th inning. Hit number 14 for the Redbirds today. And Daniel's second inside-out swing takes it the other way, just inside the bag. Off the line was Machado. Cardinals have had a lot of hits lefty on lefty today.
You can ask Carpenter to bunt here, and then you are asking Colton Wong lefty-lefty matchup to drive him in.
I'd rather have Carpenter swing.
And that's the other option.
I want him to pull the ball somehow on the ground right side, and I hope for more.
Or just drive it out to deep right field. Markakis back. He'll look up, and that ball bounces over the wall. It's a ground rule double. Carpenter will score, and Matt Carpenter drives in his 43rd this year. Back-to-back doubles, 15 hits, and a 5-3 St. Louis lead.
All smiles, Daniel Descalzo. A lot of smiles in that Cardinal dugout right now, as Carpenter changes places with Descalzo. Jumps on the first pitch. So much for working a 3-2 count that time. And another lefty on lefty hit.
You bring up a very interesting point. I'm sure these pitchers with so many scouting reports know how many pitches that Carpenter takes. The idea that you can be aggressive as a pitcher against Matt Carpenter, but it looks like the Cardinals have turned the trick here on Miller. That's aggressive by 3 lefties against Miller early in the count so far here in the 8th inning. You think about Wong, you think about the bunt certainly in this spot. One chance to swing away and then drop down a bunt.
Oquendo may not have liked the intent that he saw in that swing from Colton Wong. Wanted to make sure he knows what his job is, and that's to get the guy from second to third. 6 hits, by the way, for Cardinal left-handed batters against the left-handed relievers of Baltimore.
Strike 2. One away. Strikeout of Colton Wong. First time he's been retired. 4 for 5 his day. Holiday with a single to center. Struck out swinging. Bounced into a 6-4-3 double play. And has also flied out to shallow right center. First strikeout for Miller. Cardinals in this game have stranded 10. They have 15 hits. Baltimore with 10 hits. They've stranded 8. Runner at second is Carpenter. Back-to-back doubles to begin the inning.
5-3 seems kind of light compared to what we've seen offensively today.
And really throughout the weekend. Both teams with numerous chances.
Modified pitchers duel.
Modified at best. Runner goes. That's Carpenter, and a throw down to third. Out. They are looking into the dugout. They want Mike Matheny to come out and challenge, but you're at the portion of the game that you can't, but you can request a look.
Matheny going out, and he's going to give his guys a chance to check whether or not he's going to challenge this play or not. The challenge that he had was overturned, so he still does have a challenge left.
Correct.
But as he looks back into his dugout, I believe he got the word that Carpenter was indeed out. There's the down signal with the frown from Mike Aldretti. Notice he gives the thumbs down and he frowns at the same time, just in case you don't see the thumb. Close look.
I think we'd have an issue if he was in a Cardinal uniform with a thumbs down and doing
a smile,
a backflip.
Right. Well, he's just trying to be clear.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Holiday. A strike on the outside corner. Another look at Carpenter, caught stealing, and now the count runs full.
I like the fact that Carpenter thought he could steal third base there with one out. I like taking the chance. Many may not.
And a ground ball bounced to short. Carpenter drives in the run, extends the Cardinal lead to 5-3. Holiday still yelling at the home plate umpire. On Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the perfect beer for whatever happens. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. The last time the Cardinals had 15 hits was April 17th. Early in the season when the Cardinals were at Washington. The answer to our question, Pat Neshek, is back out for the 8th.
And his backup at this point is the Cardinals closer Trevor Rosenthal, who's beginning to get loose in the Cardinals bullpen. The bullpen just above the Orioles bullpen beyond the left center field fence here. You have a few ballparks that are like that, Dan, where the bullpens are close to each other. And one of my favorite times in baseball, one of the funniest things is when we had a brawl against the Milwaukee Brewers, and the bullpen guys were running out onto the field next to each other. It just seemed weird. We could have stayed out there and fought.
Sure. Why not?
Didn't make any sense. Bullpen's right there.
So you're saying no need to race to the infield to set it
We'll
up?
meet you at your place. We'll rumble there. Why run all the way out in the field?
Waste all that energy.
Agreed.
Neshek is something else. He is something else. He has struck out 3 of the 4 he has seen. This one of Delman Young.
Yeah, aside from having good stuff, he just paints. That one right on the outside corner. I think he has proven to umpires that he knows what he's doing. And I think when a pitcher is pumping strikes and hitting corners like that, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt sometimes, but I don't think he needs it.
Caleb Joseph was called out on strikes. That was in the second. He's fly to center and a single to left. No balls and 2 strikes.
You say that a lot with Pat Neshek, don't you?
So efficient, reliable, and having just a monster season.
Pretty good pitch there. Tony Cruz trying to frame that for him.
A slider and a strikeout. 4 of 5 he has struck out.
Shortstop, number 3, Ryan Flaherty.
And Rick, I go back to the Boston game this past week. Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz, part of the trio that he struck out the side in the 8th. I mean, these are major league hitters.
Oh, yeah.
Great major league hitters that at times he makes look just silly.
I think Neshek has undergone a transformation during this season to, boy, I'm just on a hot streak. Can you believe it? I think early on, you notice that in even interviews with Jim Hayes and Pat, before games, you talk about, well, I don't want to jinx what I got going on here. But I think he's gone from worrying about that stuff, which I don't think is always productive, to I know what I'm doing.
I know I belong.
I know I belong, and this isn't a fluke anymore. This isn't I got a lucky streak. It's not lucky. There's a lot of skill going on right now for Pat Neshek.
Here's a 1-1 to Ryan Flaherty.
Sometimes as a reliever, Dan, you feel like you're just living in a tree. Like everything you throw is just, that's our expression. It doesn't make any difference. You're hitting it at people, you get outs, and you've gone 15 games without giving up a run, and you go, I don't know how I did that. And he's transformed from that guy to, I'm going to dominate you with the game on the line.
Hard hit. Descalso playing way off the line, and he makes the play. Pat Neshek faces 6. Strikes out 4. 6 up, 6 down. What a job. Reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals.
It's a bit of an odd thing to say when your closer has 35 saves. That's Trevor Rosenthal. But I think Pat Neshek has been the Cardinals' best pitcher this year. I think the numbers bear that out. contribution has been incredible.
Matt Adams at the plate. The lefty Britton is in for Baltimore.
Hadn't seen the closer yet. In the series, he has 24 saves. Tommy Hunter, who we saw last night, has 11 saves from the right side, so they kind of have a lefty-righty save thing going, which I don't think is a bad thing. I actually think more teams should do that.
Rosenthal was up and throwing, and the numbers on a Chevy call to the pen for the lefty. A swing and a miss by big Matt Adams.
You're going to do matchups, Dan, throughout the game. Your starting lineup, 6th inning, 7th inning, pinch hitters and all that. Why wouldn't you match up in the 9th? If you've got a lefty and a righty that are capable of closing the game, why don't you do that with them?
And again, it comes down to what we were talking about earlier. Just the fact is that a lot of people believe, right or wrong, just a way that certain guys go about managing, but you get to the 9th, it's your closer's spot.
But why can't you have 2 of them?
I tend to agree with you, is to say, why not match it up?
Yeah, and I'll match it up with guys who are capable of closing.
Yes. Now, you did both. Did you feel there was a difference in getting those final 3 outs as opposed to the 3 outs in the 8th and the 7th?
I would say, fell into situations where I was closing against a lot of left-handed dominating teams. So it made sense, and the difference didn't feel quite so bad because I felt like I could throw a slider to him and that could be an out pitch. But you're talking about a bunch of right-handers and you happen to be closing in the 9th inning and you don't have an overpowering pitch. It is different. I mean, there's, especially with the game on the line, close game, 1 pitch away.
Base hit for Peralta.
But 90% of it, or let's say 80% of it, I would boil down to pitching is pitching. 1st inning, 5th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning. You have to tell yourself that.
Johnny Peralta is now on base for the 4th time. And you have John Jay, who's been on base 4 times as well. So this part of the lineup has done some damage. 5 and 6 for the Cardinals. Short lead at first by Peralta. Two balls and no strikes. Jay homered here yesterday. Very short lead at first. Fastball misses. 9-1-2, looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning. And he draws a walk. So 2 have reached, 1 away, and it brings in Peter Borges. Came in as a pinch runner back in the 7th inning.
Peralta now up to 260. Daniel Descalzo has raised his average about 40 points in the last 2 days. Plenty of hits here today, but you'd like some more runs.
I'm going to go over the signs here now with the runner at second base. Borges started in the game on Friday night. Rosenthal, by the way, has had 35 saves And that's tops in the National League by 2.
Any base runner in the bottom of the 9th, if the score stays the same, means he's got to face Adam Jones as the tying run.
And those 35 saves, Rick, also tops in Major League Baseball. Greg Holland of Kansas City with 33, and the Royals, one of the hottest teams right now in the game.
Boy, I'll say. Playoff team as of now. They are on a roll.
The season ended right now. Going into play this Sunday afternoon, Angels would host the Royals in the wild card game. National League, the Cardinals would be in there. They'd be at Pittsburgh. Runners at first and second. Taken high, 3-0. Tony Cruz on deck. Three and one the count. And a high fly ball lifted into deep right field. Peter Borges, a 3-run opposite field home run. How do you like that one? Off the bat of Peter Borges. Some power to the opposite way. 4th home run this year. And it's opened up an 8-3 St. Louis lead. I didn't see that coming.
I don't think the Orioles did either. Short swing for Peter Borges. Power the other way, and that makes this game feel quite a bit different and sends a lot of Orioles fans out of the ballpark. They are leaving in unison right now. I'm not sure I would if I had the kind of offense they have here in Baltimore, but this is a mass exodus going on right now.
The question for Mike Matheny, do you use Rosenthal now with a 5-run lead? He's been used so much, there's no need to necessarily go to him in a non-save situation.
Here's the short swing again for Borges. Generates an awful lot of power in that swing. Talking about that swing with a guy who generates power, Matt Holliday.
Cardinals have scored 6, which means tomorrow any size coffee, fountain, and frozen drink just 50 cents all day at On the Run. As much as we've seen from Trevor Rosenthal, Rick, here in the past week or so, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing to sit him down another day. Non-save situation, there's no need.
Been thinking over your question, and I agree. Now, what does that leave you with? To face 9-1-2. Seth Maness, maybe. Sam Freeman. 8-3 lead.
And it's not so much you're talking about today, but the point being is Rosenthal continues to throw. Got 3 games coming up with Miami, in those safe situations, you want him fresh.
Yeah, and you talk about as Rosenthal continues to throw, I think that's the other thing you always have to factor in. He's already thrown. I mean, he's gotten loose in the bullpen, ready to go. He's hot. And I think that gets underestimated when you're talking about a reliever, not just the innings they throw on the mound, but how many times you warm up and how many times you get ready. So even if he doesn't come into this game, it's not a full rest day for Trevor Rosenthal anyway.
Here's Descalso.
You guess he's probably thrown 40 pitches out there.
That many?
Yeah, I'd say so. They're not all at full velocity.
Well, that's my point, is that when I was watching him throw, and again, I'm watching the game too, but when he first got up, it wasn't at, let's go get him. It was more probably, I would guess, 75, 80%, just getting loose. I just think you have to be very careful with him as much as he's been used this year. And a ground ball that's taken by Davis. Descalso retired. Peter Borges, his first plate appearance today. Came in as a pinch runner for Taveras, comes up in the ninth and hits a 3-run opposite field homer. Line him up for Peter Borges, 8-3 St. Louis. Two innings, 4 strikeouts, no base runners allowed. Another terrific job done by the Cardinal right-hander, Pat Neshek. And he gives way to Trevor Rosenthal. Non-save situation. And Trevor is our Chevy called to the pen. Last pitched on the 6th against Boston. He took the loss in a 2-1 game in favor of the Red Sox. That was game 2 of that series. And here is Jonathan Scope. And the third member of our crew is just below our booth, providing unique and outstanding analysis.
Is that Pat Paris down there?
I'm not sure if the fans at home can hear him, but it's a gentleman that, if our microphones are picking it up, he's very passionate about this game 3. That's hit out of play, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike, or rather 2 strikes on the hitter, Jonathan Scope.
The time you bring in your closer in an 8-3 game is when you either need to get him some work, which I think could be the case here, or he's already up, which also may be the case, but certainly an overkill here for Trevor Rosenthal. And again, I'm not sure who else you bring in at this point. A lot of the other Cardinal relievers have been kind of banged up as well, and you use Seegers for just 1 batter today, which I think limited what other choices you had later in the game. Here's a look at Trevor's week.
used a ton. Nick Markakis has had a great day. Scored 2 runs, has an RBI and 4 hits. If you're Mike Matheny, you're just hoping it's quick and efficient and not a long outing for your closer, Trevor Rosenthal.
When you look at the overall innings and games for Rosenthal, he hasn't been used any more than any other closer in the National League, but he gets used in bunches.
That's the concern. And usually games 3 or 4 in a row, that's when we see the issues with Trevor. There are some managers that just refuse to use a closer for a 4th straight day.
Agreed.
They won't do it.
And I think that's why we're sensitive to that reality when you talk about Trevor's usage. And again, why I like the thought of having a 2 or 3 guy rotating closer potential, let's say. Now, Pat Neshek does have 3 saves for the Cardinals. Certainly a guy you'd be comfortable in the 9th inning on a day where Trevor's thrown 3 or 4 days in a row. I would. Seegers could get to that. I'm not sure he's there right now, but I think he was there a year ago.
3-2 is pulled foul. Make sure you stay with us on the post-game show with Jim and Jim. Hayes and Edmonds. One of the graphics that they'll show you is one that concerns my partner and where he stands on the all-time ERA list for a single season from a reliever. You'll find Rick Horton in the top 3, I believe, all-time in Cardinals history.
You and I stunned by that.
There's a strikeout.
Especially me.
Think about that.
No,
Your 3rd all-time, 1986. What was the ERA? 0.
I don't remember.
Yes, you do. Don't you start with me.
Carry the 3.
You don't forget things like that.
Oh, boy.
That's saying something. Rick Horton in the top 3 all-time relievers ERA. Better, by the way, than Pat Neshek.
We're not done yet, though.
Does give you an idea of just what a year you had in '86.
Remember that comment earlier about sometimes you're just living in a tree?
Well, I hear you.
But thank you, Dan.
That's great. Should be recognized. 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs and nobody on. And the hitter is Manny Machado. So they're going to break down some of the great single seasons ever in Cardinals history by relievers. There's a fly ball out to right field, and the Cardinals salvage a game in this series. Rosenthal, a 1-2-3, 9th inning, 14 pitches. Cardinals hold on 8-3.
A lot of key moments in this game, but the one that really stands out, at least right now, is the Borges home run to extend the lead. That came in the 9th inning, a 3-run shot. He entered the game for Oscar Taveras and made his presence known. Pat Neshek also outstanding out of the Cardinals bullpen.
Hard-fought win for St. Louis. Lynn picks up the victory. He's 12-8. Cardinals hold on 8-3. Post-game comes your way next.